Sound like you're in a airplane bathroom or something like
I mean, you're not like wrong actually.
I'm
You,
actually now just washing my hands because I am actually in my bathroom. I was peeing.
All right, man.
I'm like five, and now I'm sitting down in my seat. Like literally, it's like 5 feet away in my bathroom.
well, you
How
can.
do,
Well, as I go through audio stuff, you can explain why you're in that predicament. Well,
Okay, so every now and then, Walter, me, a third of this podcast decides to partake into some not so desirable foods. However, these foods are very tasty. And last night, I decided to partake in the age-old, beloved Taco Bell. So, was I doing before this podcast? The world will never know, but I was not doing this world a service. I was emptying my guts.
that's a good way to put it.
Yes. Hey, listen, man. I appreciate those Doritos Taco Supreme. I appreciate them, but they're good. They're good every like 6 months. Um, because this happens. Uh, but enough about me. So, what did you eat last night?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
I mean, we all,
Um,
first of all, we all sound good, but Soul needs to wake the fuck up.
I'm up, man.
Yup.
Am I supposed to answer that question with enthusiasm? Like I
Yes,
What about
sir,
you?
Mr. Hector, sir.
What about you, Macho? What did you eat last night?
We actually got Wendy's.
Oh wow,
Yeah, got that bacon bourbon burger, and
bacon bourbon. What is that? What?
it's like bourbon barbecue sauce. Like it's just
Oh my.
it's more like along the lines of more tangy than it is sweet and vinegary. But man, mix that with the crunchy onions, the bacon, the cheese. You're gonna have yourself a good time.
Man, it sounds it actually sounds better, even though it's unhealthy. It sounds better than the usual, Taco Bell excruciating pain.
Oh, it's
Um,
100% unhealthy. Yeah, yeah.
but it's good. It's like that kind of thing you do once a week.
Oh yeah,
You know?
no, no. I mean, I try to not indulge in fast foods at any point in time. But yesterday was Friday. Me and my fiance were feeling good. It was a great week, and we got a couple of games to play with each other too. So we're looking forward to that. So we decided to just pick
yeah.
up some Wendy's. So
Speaking
Oh,
yeah, speaking of a great week, let's jump into this podcast, man.
oh wow, look at that
Uh,
segue. Look at us go.
because yeah, it was a really great week. I'm actually like really excited for this podcast because like I don't know how you guys felt about the Xbox podcast or the Xbox Bethesda showcase. This is the first time I'm pretty much talking to you guys about the Final Fantasy news and the Capcom showcase and things like that. So yeah, this was a really fun fucking week. Um,
hmm
so yeah, man, let's get into it. Guys, welcome to the 65th episode of the DualShock and Sense podcast. I am your host, Soul, the connoisseur anime wife, who is joined, as always, by we have one third of the DSS crew. That is Walt. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, now I am. I just finished evacuating, and now I am all freshen up. I put some Febreze in that bad boy, and now I'm feeling good, man. And like you mentioned, it was a great week. Although, no live events, no E3. Next year we're gonna get that E3 back. But hey, man, I've never been to E3, so there wasn't much of a difference aside from, seeing a live audience. So yeah, I had a great week.
Yes, sir. We also got Macho here. How you doing, man?
What's sir? What's going on? It's the King of Kingdom Hearts and the Final Fantasy fanatic. Yeah, this was an amazing week, guys. Like, holy crap! You can see. Well, first of all, to gauge my reactions here, and I'm gonna simmer down for this podcast. Don't worry, so I'm gonna simmer down a little bit. I'm not gonna be like super pumped up, but I am gonna get and be in my bag, man. I'm in my bag this week, man. It was a great week. So.
All right. I expect nothing less, man. I
All
expect
right,
nothing less.
cool. And
Um,
well, one thing before we keep going, man, I had this like really crazy theory last night, and I had to tell you guys.
Mhm.
I know Soul's probably like rolling his eyes, like, "Oh, this mofo," but just hear me out, because in case you haven't heard, the critically acclaimed
oh God.
MMORPG Final Fantasy 14 with expanded free trial is now has a free login campaign for you can play up to 90 hours. So go and do that.
Oh, that's it? You're done? You done? All right. That was shorter than I expected.
I'm saving the rest of that energy for the rest of the podcast, man.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, and also, on top of reminding you guys to go ahead and like and share out the podcast and consider subscribing to the channel, go ahead and check out some of the great content that these boys put out this past week, man. They reacted to a bunch of showcases over the week. And yeah, go do them a favor, check it out, and like the videos, man.
Yeah, we just went back to 9 subscribers too, by the way. So yay!
Yeah, don't you guys unsubscribe, man? Come on now.
Come back up, commit. Let's ride or die on these streets, okay?
Yes, sir. So yeah, we're gonna get started with the podcast by kicking it off like we always do by talking about the games that we've been playing this past week. I can start things off because mine is pretty short. Boys, I almost dropped Batman Arkham Knight.
Wow, what? Hold on.
There is it's one Batmobile segment too many, man. Too many. I was banging my head against the wall because there was this like cargo bay like little puzzle that I had to do to find like the Arkham Knight. You're like in the tunnels trying to find like that giant fucking plant for poison ivy that will help like disperse the fucking scarecrow toxins that are like all across the city. And like I don't know, man, I just got really fucking pissed off. And then like there's one segment later on in that sort of mission where the Arkham Knight is like inside of this tank that's like releasing the cloud burst or whatever I think it's called. And you have to like hit like 4 specific points in the Arkham Knight's tank. But before that, he's like literally protected by like 12 of those fucking like giant tanks that you have to like sneak up behind and like hit their weak points in the back.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and like
I have PTSD of that section.
And like I literally said to myself, like I'm not having any fun with this, like at all, because like there was one I got it down to like literally the last tank before you have to go up against the Arkham Knight, and for whatever fucking reason, I don't know if it was a glitch or whatever, because the second time I played through this section, it didn't happen at all, but the first time, that last and final tank just like knew where I was every single fucking time, man. Like it didn't matter like how far I got away from it or if I or if it lost like my sight or whatever. Like it just like always knew, like it was fucking following me, man, and I didn't know why it was doing that. Like it was so fucking weird. Yeah, like I just couldn't get away from it, and it was driving me insane, man. It really was. Like it didn't matter where I was or if I was sneaking up behind it. It just fucking like turned around immediately and found me. Like it was fucking weird. And then what's crazy is that like I died because obviously if those things lock onto you, then it's a one-shot kill. But like I had to replay it again, and that shit didn't happen at all. Like it was back to normal for whatever reason. So I don't know what happened there. It made me sick to my stomach. I never like that moment, and then or that entire mission. And we talked about last podcast the whole airship stuff. Like those are 2 reasons, like one too many, to persuade me that I don't ever want to play this game again. Like I'm good. Once I beat this game, I'm like washing my hands and I'm good.
Damn, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy too because I actually really like this game, but it's like fighting against me. Like it's telling me that I shouldn't like this game. Like I don't know, man. It's weird.
It's just because of the Batmobile, man. I think it's really the Batmobile.
It really is, man. Like who in their right mind at Rocksteady like. It's just like literally like I played this game for like I think like I have 32 hours like clocked in or something like that, and literally it feels like 20 of those hours have been spent in the goddamn Batmobile, man. It's just like I don't know, man. Like they're just at some point there has to be like an edit button. Like someone over there had to have been like, guys, isn't this like a little too much? Like they're playing like a Batman game, right? Like don't people want to be like on the ground for these missions? Like I don't know, man. It's weird.
Well, did you finish the story or?
No, I'm close. I'm like 79% through it, I think.
Okay.
So I'm nearing the end for sure. Yeah, like I well, okay, I'm not gonna say that because it's big spoilers. But yeah, I just hit like a major story point. So Yeah, I think I'm close to the end.
Okay.
I guess I'll say a major character just died. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so that's Arkham Knight. The other Hitman 2 I've been dabbling in a little bit. Just finished the Miami level. Fantastic level. I can't wait to replay that one for sure. Um, the other game that I've been playing is The Outer Worlds. This game is fucking boring, man.
Oh man. Oh no. Wow. Right out
Jesus
the gate.
Christ.
Right out the gate.
You know,
It's
I agree with you.
I've never played it, but now I don't know.
Yeah, I
it's
agree
just
with him, and I tried on Game Pass. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, it is on Game Pass.
it's
True.
just
Yeah.
like so like bog standard, man. Like, and like the thing is that like again, like I enjoy the writing. I can see it getting grading over time because it's constantly just like satirical and funny, and everyone is fucking quirky and weird, right? Like that could get grading over a 30-hour campaign, but right now it's like it's pretty funny at times.
Yeah,
But like
you're amused.
the thing is that like I want to get to know these characters. I find these people generally like interesting to talk to, but it's just why would I want to progress through the story when the actual action of playing the game is boring as fuck, man. Like
Man.
I just don't want to play. It's just so boring. Like it's not like, and obviously I'm not expecting this to be like goddamn Wolfenstein, first person shooting, but like the combat just feels absolutely like fucking soulless, man. Like just devoid of energy. Like I don't know, man. There's just like, which again is funny because there is energy and life in the characters and the story, and it is kind of interesting, but again just like the actual act of playing through it and getting from point A to point B is just so fucking boring. And then like the planets themselves, like at least the first planet, it's like, oh yeah, you're landing on this giant fucking planet, go out and explore, but there's nothing to fucking find. It's just so barren and uninteresting. Like it's not like Horizon where it feels like, hey, turn off the compass, walk in any direction, and you'll find something interesting. And I'm assuming that's the same thing with Elden Ring for sure. But like in this game, it's just like, oh, you'll find like a little marauder camp or something in the distance, and that's the extent of of what you'll find, man. At least on this first planet. But yeah, that's my major takeaway, man. It's just fucking boring. And then another little nitpick for a game that prides itself on being an RPG, which I will admit it is definitely more of an RPG than Fallout 4. That's for fucking sure. Um, but a game that prides itself on being an RPG, it really it really kind of like goes against that at some points because there was one moment early on in the game where if you walk into the first town wearing a marauder outfit, the people will actually comment on it. They're like, "Oh, why the fuck would you wear that? Are you insane?" Like that, because like the marauder outfit is like literally like the bandits and the stuff like that. So like you would think like, yeah, it's a bad idea to probably wear a goddamn bandit outfit into like a city with normal civilized people who are just going about their day. Like that would probably give them the wrong impression, right? And some of the people like actually comment on that. But if you actually like, once you hear those comments and you're like, oh, in your mind, naturally you're like, oh shit, yeah, they're right. I should probably just change this into some like normal clothes or something like that. That doesn't change anything. Nobody's gonna comment that or gonna be like, "Oh, good job, thank you for changing into those clothes, man." Like, no one fucking cares. It's just like lip service, and I hate that kind of thing with RPGs when it's like it really doesn't matter like what you do or people don't react to what you do or how you change. This isn't like Kingdom Come Deliverance where people literally fucking notice and comment on like everything that you do in that game, whether it's wrong or good. Like that game fucking reacts to everything that you do, and it's fucking awesome. But the Outer Worlds, it's just like they make that one little comment, and then you could continue. That's the thing. You could continue wearing the Marauder outfit inside the city, and people will still go about their day normally, like nobody cares. So I just thought it's like really weird. Like why make the effort to like comment on that, like to bring attention to like what the player is wearing, and not fully commit like on that. Like I don't know. It's just weird. Um, And like thing is
Damn.
that like I knew, like I called out their bluff. I was like, I bet you if I walked in the city with this Marauder outfit, nobody's gonna give a fuck. And lo and behold, nobody gave a fuck. Um, so yeah,
That
that's
was
the
Game of the
outer,
Year contender.
which is a mystery to me, man. Let me be honest. But then again, that was 2019, right? That wasn't like
Hmm.
the strongest year. Like aside from RE2, Sekiro, and Death Stranding, I
Which
guess
goes to
Smash
show,
as
though,
well.
that Death Stranding, although controversial, you have mentioned how that game is very unique. Yet, if you compare it to Outer Worlds, it's a bit more expansive. A lot of people could argue it's a bit more empty, but reality is, uh, it just caters to a different audience. And the Outer Worlds, while being a bit more traditional, it I guess it just feels a bit dated then. It sounds like from what you're saying, it feels like this would have done. I mean, it did well regardless. Like in Metacritic, it had like 80 something,
Like an
um,
82, I think.
like an 82. Uh, if this released like in 2015, I feel like people would go crazy or something.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
But I feel like that's why Obsidian now. It's like people are really excited for Avowed. Um, because they keep experimenting. Pentiment, that's another one. Like they keep experimenting. So I'm Outer Worlds didn't discourage me from them. I'm still looking forward to Avowed, but
That's,
interesting. I love how you from the get go. It's so fucking boring. You know, I'm like, God
I
damn.
mean, to be honest, I can't really like. I don't oppose his opinion, man, because I played it on Game Pass when I guess it's right. I got my PC,
Mm.
and again, this game that everyone just loves. I don't hear
Yeah,
enough good
people. A
things
lot of people
about
love
Outer
it.
Worlds, and I tried it out. I give it like 2 or 3 hours, and I was really bored, man. Like
To be
the
fair,
shooting
too.
just didn't feel like. I mean, the shooting felt good, but like it just didn't feel impactful, and
Yeah,
I just didn't
yeah.
care about the characters in any way, shape, or form, to be honest with you, or this entire world. Like it just again, like you said, when you're exploring, it just feels barren. Like it doesn't like feel alive.
And so, to be fair, also, you just came off one of the greatest RPGs made. Jumping into Outer Worlds is kind of you're gonna feel it. Also, I feel like I don't know.
And well, like, but and also like the actual like RPG elements in terms of like building out the characters, like it's solid. But then like I was thinking about it in terms of like the actual moment to moment gameplay, like what you're doing and like when you're getting into combat encounters, man. Like I go back to like Cyberpunk, like that combat is like
Mm,
fucking frenetic and exciting with whether you're using the hacking abilities and stuff like that, or if you have your goddamn gorilla arms equipped, or if you have the mantis blades, even though those things are kind of whatever. But like I don't
yeah.
know, like the
Or the
gunfights in that
rope.
game. Yeah, like the gunfights in that game, like again, it's frenetic, it's exciting. There's
Yeah.
movement to it, and like in this game, like it's just the opposite, man. Like it's just not fun. And like the guns are like okay, they're serviceable, but yeah, it's just it's not like I don't know, it's just not exciting, man, to actually like play through that game.
Yeah, I had more fun
Um,
with their other game, Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, for sure. Fallout New Vegas is great, and that's why like I'm not like this game is like it's fine, right? It's not. I'm not saying
Right.
it's horrible or anything like that. Like I could tell it's probably like the most like 7 out of 10 game that I will ever play, and I don't think I will continue playing it. But like because I feel like I got what I wanted out of it.
And wait.
Um, it's
So
definitely
so
like a
they, sorry, New Vegas was not BGS.
no. That was Obsidian,
I wonder. Oh,
Yeah,
damn. Okay.
which is why that's the best
That
Fallout
yeah. A
game
lot of
for
people
sure.
say that it's
facts.
like the best Fallout.
Yeah,
You
for
didn't know
sure.
that really well? Wow, that's
I
that's
know.
like that's like one of like the oldest like kind of I don't know knowledge industry things that we are aware of. It since I don't know. Like I thought that knowledge was like super common, to be honest.
No, I mean, a very different type of knowledge, but I mean, just this last week we found out just the kind of noise a black hole makes, and that's been around for millions of years, macho.
Wait, which one?
The black holes, just black holes in general. Did y'all know that black holes make noise, make the loudest noise ever recorded in history?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
That's insane. But yeah, man, no, I didn't know. I Here's the thing. It always felt like an enigma. It always felt like New Vegas was just like, why New Vegas? Like, was it a spin out? Like in my mind, it just never clicked. Like, I never thought about it. I just accepted, oh, it's Fallout, whatever. Um,
Gotcha.
but now it makes sense because there's two audiences. There's people that love BGS, and then there's people that love Fallout New Vegas. Because
Yeah,
you have that audience for both.
and the thing is that like with Outer Worlds, like yeah, like you could definitely see like there's something there, and like I don't know, like I don't want to blame them entirely because like obviously like budget was a big sort of like concern for them during that project. I think specifically they pointed to budget as to why the worlds are so like
Baron.
you're literally exploring like 1% of that entire planet. And I'm not asking for them to, you know, make the entire planet explore or planets explorable or whatever, but like it
Hmm.
is such a small little piece of land that you're exploring on these places. But like what I mean is that like there's definitely potential there, and I think with more financial security and being under Microsoft, that I think
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it's gonna be like an Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2 or AC1 to AC2, but I could definitely see like there's a fine foundation laid out here with the first game, and I expect the second game to be far better than this one.
Yeah. And they're working on that and about, because I mean, with Microsoft now, they can work on like a few more projects, not just one at a time. Um, they'll have the funding, hopefully the resources,
They've
and
always kind of been like that. Kind of like and maybe not Insomniac in terms of like their efficiency, but Obsidian's always kind of like because they've been working on Pillars of Eternity as well as things like Outer Worlds at the same time
but
too.
you can see
So
what
like
they focused on. Like if you play Pillars of Eternity, you can very much see where the time and not effort, the time and care at least went to, aside from something like Outer Worlds. Now it just secures, it gives more confidence in terms of what they can build because a lot of people are really looking forward to Avowed at the very least.
but yeah, so that's Outer Worlds. Besides that, more Young Justice, season 3, I think. Really, really
Oh, my
good.
favorite
Still,
game ever.
yeah, still enjoying it. It's awesome. What else am I watching? I feel like finished Peaky Blinders. Really, 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 really good ending to that series, in my opinion. Um,
Bollywood. You're watching Bollywood movies now?
uh, yeah, RRR on Netflix. Cinematic masterpiece. Go ahead and check that out. Um, So that and then Dune, still continuing my Dune journey. It's fucking awesome, man. Um yeah, it's just so weird because I feel like I've never read a book that has maybe this is a thing in Lord of the Rings because I've never read those books, but the fact that like if you go to the back the of Dune, like go to the very end of the book, like it has an appendix that explains like here's the religion of Dune, here's where what like all these words mean,
Oh wow.
here's blah blah blah, like it fucking just like explains to you like literally this entire universe, like it's fucking wild, man. Like
Yeah,
I
that's straight up Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings
yeah
had that
yeah.
for every book. Yeah.
When did the Lord of the Rings like first come out? Like when was it first published?
The Tolkien books?
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, those were like the 19 did he start writing in the 1920s
I
and then
believe
they were
so because
published
then
in
they
the
were
30s.
yeah, they were rebrought. Let me see. I can look that up for you.
Yeah, they're basically kind of like the establishment for like a lot of like these fantasy novels, including Game of Thrones and stuff like that. But yeah, those were
Okay.
published like in the I think the 30s.
Jesus. Okay. So this Dune was written in the 60s, and
Yeah,
it really feels like, from what I know so far, like it really feels like
37.
Game of Thrones in space.
Thanks, Will.
Uh, it has all the political intrigue, the fucking evil political figures with ulterior motives and things like that. Like I don't know, it's really fucking cool so far. I can't recommend it enough. It's really dense, so like like I said last time,
Yeah.
like you need to do some research before you get into it. I think just to learn what a fucking mentat is and what a Bene Gesserit is and what spice is, and what all the families are and their relationships with all the neighboring families and things like that, because like it won't explicitly explain all that stuff to you, but once you do have like a handle on it, it's some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, that's it for me. What about you guys? What do you guys play this week?
Uh, this week with games, I've been playing Dead by Daylight with a couple of friends that are playing it for the first time ever, and so I'm having a blast just seeing how they're reacting to it, and it's getting them, very scared. I love it. So I've been playing that. Some Fortnite with them. A lot of multiplayer. I actually finished Dead Space again. My first ever finished game on stream, which you can check at Walter_Orlando on Twitch.tv.
Yeah, I actually checked him out for a little bit, so and he was great, man. He was playing a little bump in music at the beginning, getting in the mood and vibe.
God.
But the thing is, I jumped into his chat and he didn't know what my user account name was because I was using my fiance's name. So I immediately jumped in and I was like, "What'd I say, Walt?" I know
Like,
it's just,
hey, you're like, hey, big boy.
No, this man said, I hate Puerto Ricans. And I was like, immediately my mind went to two people. I thought macho, but I thought this one friend I have that he's notorious. He always tells me like, "Ugh, your island sucks," but he's like really cool about it. But then he said some other stuff that I was like, okay, this is sounding like
I
macho.
remember the first thing I said, I was like, "Look at this bitch," and then Walt like looked at the chat and he's like, "Oh, okay."
I was like, okay, if that's how you think, hey man, I ain't gonna blame you.
Like Walt talking to someone he never met. It's like, call him a little bitch, and then he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, man, I don't care.
And I was like, and then telling him like, "Yeah, I don't like Puerto Ricans," and he's like, "I mean, hey, but you like this Puerto Rican?" I'm just like, "What the fuck?"
Hey man,
continue your story, bro.
Hey man, Dead Space, phenomenal. I appreciate it. I mean, not only you, like a couple people that jumped in back and forth, and it was fun, man. I loved streaming it. I loved playing Dead Space again and re-experiencing it. And I think I'm gonna go for 2 that I haven't beaten that one, so I'm gonna go for 2 now. Aside from Dead Space, I gave the the Steam Fest, whatever demo festival a shot, and I didn't play all 32 demos that I downloaded. I played 2 of them. So I'm super disappointed. Maybe it's my PC, but I'm gonna try it again today. I tried playing Metal Hellsinger, and I
That's
was
the one
not
you're
able.
excited from.
Dude, I'm super stoked for that one. I'm super stoked. The music, the beat, like everything, it felt so good, but it felt good because of the following. The gameplay, normal BPM gameplay, you have to attack at the same time of the beat if you want to get perfect scores, if you want to actually do like different combos or different types of chain attacks. You go to the beat of the music. Thing is, I like to move. My WASD was not working. I couldn't move. No keyboard, no actual key was working. Nothing was working. The only thing that worked was the dash and moving my camera and attacking. So the little that I played, which was literally like 5 minutes of the demo, was dashing and attacking. And I'm already sold on the game. It feels so good. And I cannot imagine what it feels like to fight like an actual boss with different types of songs. Definitely recommend it if you have a PC or laptop. Definitely download the Hellsinger demo. It's on Steam. It's really, really fun. And the music is phenomenal. Like there's actual variety of different types of bands. I played that, and then I played Elsie, which is a game that I heard about on G4 because Gerard, the completionist, was talking about it and how he is actually a producer of the game. And he was talking about how it was inspired by Mega Man. It's a rogue, one of the rogues, roguelike or roguelite. You don't keep your permanent unlocks. But essentially you go through different levels. It's a 2D platformer. It's very kinetic. There's a parry system that keeps you moving and keep you attacking enemies. There's different types of weapons and skills. you can have 2 skills at a time, and you can have there's health, there's energy, and then there's a different type of gauge that's underneath the energy that I never figured out what it was because I died and I got very sad and I was very tired because it was after my Dead Space stream. But that was very fun. It was really the music phenomenal. It reminds me a lot of Shovel Knight, which wouldn't surprise me if there was some talks about incorporating like music inspired from those games because I know Shovel Knight is very near and dear to Gerard's heart. But yeah, man, mostly Dead Space this week, some Dead by Daylight, and on the Switch, I've been playing more of Kirby. And what was the other game? There was another game that I was playing on Switch, and I completely blanking. Oh, Blasphemous, which is a 2D platformer, Souls-like, that will teach you what it means to be a masochist. That game is very hard. And
you love that.
Oh man, you know it. Love me some hard, some dark. Because the thing, dude. Hey yo, wait a minute. So
it's the second time I caught you, buddy. Man. I think you need some coffee.
So Blasphemous is has a lot of religious undertones. I wouldn't even say undertones. It's very religious. It's very biblical inspired. Like bosses and everything, like it's named out of like straight out of a Bible. The environments are straight out of a like apocalyptic version of the medieval times. It's really cool. It's really fun. They updated it last couple of years with like a massive update that improved animations and bosses and bug fixes, and it added a bunch of like extra updates and some extra levels. It's a packed game. It's really fun, but it's really hard, so we know that. But aside from that, I have all of my manga on the floor, and I've been just reorganizing. So most of my week has also been just me taking stock of my books. So I haven't had much other new games to play, but I have some in the pipeline. And last week, right after this podcast, I played some Horizon Forbidden West and got more through the story. So that's been me. How about you, Macho? Because Macho, aside from eating good announcement-wise, what you been playing? You punk?
So a couple of surprise games, man. Well, first I beat Batman Arkham Knight. I actually kind of just blasted through that game early this week, and then I touched on it again on Thursday when I came back home, and I was gonna go work out, and then I actually had to wait for my phone to charge, so I was like, let me just jump into Arkham Knight, and I realized that I was only 10 or 15% more of the actual game, so I actually beat the story. Have not delved into the side content at all, really, except for like if I have a stream in the background and I'm just going through a couple of like the weird Batmobile side content, or like it's like disarm a bomb and stuff like that. But apparently, just I guess a nice warning to you, so as well. You do have to do a lot of the side content to get like the true ending of the game.
I forgot about that.
So yeah, I'll let you experience that for at your own leisure. But yeah, just be warned that once you actually get to the quote unquote end, you still have a lot more, unless you've done a lot of it already. But yeah, man. So I beat Arkham Knight. Good stuff. I mean, it's definitely not my favorite Arkham game. I kind of put in the same level of playing field with Arkham City, in terms of gameplay and just the open world aspect. But when it comes to the actual story, and the villains, it feels like a wet fart of a end to the trilogy.
God damn.
Yeah, especially Arkham Knight. Like I found like just even replaying it and knowing like the outcome, I'm like, this character is like really lame, dog. Like he's such a loser, and then doesn't really get impactful until like the last like hour or two where you actually fight against him and stuff like that. Even then, it's not even that impactful either, because it's like one part of it's like kind of annoying, but the other part of it that I really liked, again, I won't spoil for Soul here, but it was actually really cool. I thought that was like one of the more inventive boss fights in the series. But yeah, so I finished that up. Yesterday was a big announcement, fellas. It was a big announcement because, as we all know, we're going to cover through Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy VII Celebration. remake actually came out on Steam, so I indulged, and I let's just say Tifa went shopping on the PC, fella. She went
There you
shopping
go.
for all the costumes, and so did Aerith Cloud. I'm messing around with Final Fantasy VII Remake on PC, and I'm loving these mods, man. It's like it feels like a new breath of fresh air with all the costumes you get. I actually put the costume from Spy Family on there, Lloyd Forger. I put that on Cloud.
Ooh.
Barrett is looking like Thanos. He has Thanos' armor. It looks
Bruh.
awesome. Tifa, she has a regular Advent Children outfit and Diva costume. And then Aerith has Reno's costume. She has her regular, like, a mono artwork that the Final Fantasy artist, he usually draws these concept arts for the characters. And so someone actually made a mod based on those concept art. So I have that for a couple of the characters as well. It's really, really cool looking. But yeah, man, it runs great. I'm really surprised at the fact that I thought my PC wouldn't be able to handle the game at 120 frames per second, but thankfully it is. So I'm kind of just, again, experiencing all that great gameplay in this game. It's really fun. Looking forward to playing through more of the game, just with all the different costumes and stuff like that. Like, this is actually what I wanted from 7 Remake, where we got more costumes for the characters, but they never gave it to us, obviously. So modders did their thing, and I'm just blasting through that, and it's really fun. My fiance was kind of worried because she thought that I'll be lost to the weekend because of that. But no, it's because of 2 other games that we're both playing with each other that I got off a whim, and because something that she really wanted to play as well. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Started playing that, and that game is absolutely phenomenal, man. She has no TMNT knowledge whatsoever, so everything's pretty much kind of like fresh on like the whole TMNT lore and like who these characters are and like why is there a giant rat with a robe? What's this dude with the hockey mask? Who's this yellow jumpsuit girl? Like, so she has like all these different questions that are really funny, but she's loving the game and I'm loving it too. It's well, you might know, did the developer for TMNT Shredder's Revenge, Dotemu, I think they're called, did they also do Streets of Rage 4?
Uh, you were comparing it a lot. I believe so. What's it called? Tribute Games, right?
The Dotemu games, or maybe it's Tribute Games. I don't know. I keep seeing Dotemu like logo as
Dotemu?
well, but
Let me confirm because I think I saw. I don't know if it's both of them or if it's like collaborative thing. Let me see. Dotemu. Yeah, Streets of Rage 4, and they also did Windjammers really recently, which is a very fun game to watch.
yeah. Okay, well there you go. But yeah, so like the things I was worried about with TMNT is the fact that it might not feel good because Streets of Rage 4, it was a good game, but like it just didn't really feel great to play as a beat 'em up. Which is why I never really.
Really
Yeah, it felt like super stiff, and I don't know if that was like a Streets of Rage thing.
interesting. You know that was my first ever Streets of Rage, and I love that game.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good, but like, and that was my first Streets of Rage too. Like, the art's like completely gorgeous, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a little too stiff for the
Mm-hmm.
entire game, and it didn't like lend itself to combos as much as I liked. Or I mean, maybe I just need to mess around with it more. But either way,
Gotcha.
TMNT Shredder's Revenge like absolutely just gets rid of those worries for me. 100%.
Mm.
It feels way more responsive, feels so much more fun, way more loose. It's a combo game. And each character playing differently, obviously. So Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and then April, Master Splinter,
June,
and
July.
and wow, what's his name? The guy with the hockey mask. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Oh my God. I people always say his name first.
I know it's such an iconic name, but like I can't put it to like it's not coming to me. But yeah, so they're all playable in the game, and it's a lot of fun. The special moves are really cool, and the levels are gorgeous. Like this is like a
Casey Jones.
yes, Casey Jones. Thank you.
My God, it was killing me.
Yeah. Yeah. So the entire game so far, we got through like half of it. You could beat it like within 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours. But it's meant to be replayed a bunch of times, and there's a lot of replay incentive with the trophies and everything. So I guarantee like this is gonna be me and my fiance's game to play like over the course of time because we played River City Girls with each other and we absolutely loved it. So this is definitely feeling like on that par with like beat 'em up games are kind of our thing when we play with each other. And then the other game
Yo.
we've been playing is The Quarry.
The Quarry.
Mm-hmm.
Gagagooey.
I picked it up. I picked it up just Thursday, I think, and then and because the thing is like I always try to stray away from like horror games with or at least playing them with my fiance because she doesn't really like horror. But
Yeah, is it her? Are you sure it's her?
well, here's the thing: when we first started dating, she was like, "No, I'm not about horror movies. I don't like all that stuff." And for
And
more
you were like, oh
personal,
my god, me neither.
yeah, more personal reasons than anything. No, I told her straight up. I was like, "Oh, I love that stuff, but like, we don't have to like watch the movies or anything like that. Like, it's fine. I'll live." But in any case, so she's ever since she started watching more streamers play. What's that one horror game?
What?
Oh, let me ask her. Sammy, what's that one horror game that you watch your streamers play? Phasma? Is that what it's called?
Oh, Phasmophobia?
Yeah, Phasmophobia. Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah.
Oh, great game. I played that game.
Yeah, so she watches that a lot with like from her streamers. And I realized that she was like she could be okay with horror stuff now after you watch Doctor Strange 2 and all the stuff that goes on with that game because she came out of the theater and she was like, "Oh yeah, that was actually pretty fun." And then she started watching people stream The Quarry, and I'm watching her reactions. I'm looking over her, and she has her hands up to her face, like oh my god, and like she's getting into it, like she loves it. And I'm like, now she understands why like horror, like it's such a fun, intense thrill. Like it's scary, yeah, but like there's also something like really addicting about like that intense thrill about it. And so we're playing The Quarry yesterday, and we got about I think we got to chapter like 4 of 10 or something like that. And overall, this game is really fun. Like it's great. Like if you played Until Dawn, like you're absolutely getting like the gameplay flow and the narrative cinematic narrative of a supermassive game here, which is really cool. I would say the one thing about this game that's really weird is the technical aspects of it. Like I feel like Until Dawn's a lot more sound. Like characters actually have eye contact with each other. In The Quarry, a lot of times characters just looking down, their eyes are not, you can tell that the eyes are just not centered and not looking at the character. So it can get really off-putting. And then sometimes their mouths are just they're too goddamn wide. Like
It's Uncanny Valley.
they have like it's almost like their mouths over animate whenever they talk. Yeah, it's a little weird. Like that's stuff I didn't really experience in Until Dawn. So I'm like, okay, what's the drawback here? And I think it's because Until Dawn they made it just for PS4, while The Quarry's made for just about everything besides Switch. So that's the only thing I could really think of why like the technical aspects are really weird. On top of the fact that the game has crazy hard motion blur to the point where it's just disgusting. Like it's absolutely revolting. Like this motion blur.
It's vile.
It's like it's disgusting. I look at the screen. I'm just like, oh god, why did they do this?
Our living room is full of vomit.
I kind of wanted to vomit after seeing that and the depth of field, man. Like the depth of field is just horrendous in this game. On top of like some characters having like this weird halo whenever you move the camera. So on top of like besides all the technical aspects that kind of make it a little less of a game compared to like Until Dawn, the game still sound like in its horror aspects and its action and just the intense moments that it brings on, the cheesy dialogue that's like super cringy, but it's like such C-D horror movie that you love anyway. It's like one of those guilty pleasure stuff. So
right.
It's like it's definitely out there, like in terms of cheese and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's like a classic slasher.
Yeah, more or less. But the thing is, I'm loving the intrigue. I'm loving just like the overall vibe of everything, like the whole camp setting. Again, it's such horror movie vibes that you're just like, like you're right at home especially if you watch those Friday the 13th movies and stuff like that. So it's really good. I recommend it for people that love supermassive games and love Until Dawn, or at least what they've done recently, because you're gonna get more of that, but just I guess a more packed game, so to speak. There's a lot more mechanics you can get involved with in The Quarry, including like some shooting aspects, or they have the same breathing mechanic from Until Dawn, where you actually have to hold your controller, and
love that.
Yeah, you have to hold your controller like in the using the DualSense or DualShock rather, the DualShock 4
Yeah,
for
Macho. Don't assume everyone has a PS5. God.
yeah, no, gosh, man, I'm such an idiot. Um, so when people use a DualShock for and Until Dawn, they actually had to hold up the controller and to fit the light bar into the little
Ooh,
like
yeah.
yeah, a little area, and then you actually just had to hold it there. It was super cool because it made things like really intense. You had the same thing here, but except you just hold down a button in the quarry, and you essentially it's like you just don't breathe in a sense, or else the enemies will track you and stuff like that. So
Imagine sneezing during that.
I'm waiting for something crazy to happen. Like the thing is, like, there's already crazy things happening. And it's actually pretty cool, and it's really fun to see. But I'm waiting to see if like there's one gameplay mode where you just have to breathe, or else you die, or something like that. Because they already introduced the fact that you get like a gun in this game, and it's up to you whether you want to shoot or not. You probably don't even
Right.
have to shoot, you know. And so there's some instance already where I'm just like, okay, yeah, we didn't have to shoot at that part, but that changed the course of
Right.
our path here. So.
Yeah. This is the kind of game that I'm not. I don't know if I'll buy it. I know that there's this YouTube channel. I mean, I assume we've heard of Jesse Cox on YouTube. Uh, he has this series called Scary Game Squad, and it's him, JR the Completionist, Alex Faciani, which is a Super Beer Bro, a friend of Gerard's, and then Davis, which is a friend of theirs, and all four of them play these horror games, and they always play the Resident Evil games, the Supermassive games, and that's how I've been experiencing this game. It's through them. They very much take the route of they analyze the character and they're like, this character looks like he is very dumb, so that's how we're gonna play him. Or they see like in the beginning, like the very beginning scene when they see the couple in the car, they're just like, I don't like how he or like how he talks to her. So he's gonna be like a prick or whatever. So I really just love seeing people how they interpret the game and how they play it. Because if it's me, it's like I'm just doing it to see um, all the branches, you know? Because you can either go fully like gun ho, you're gonna shoot everything, or you can go very stealthy and you're just gonna avoid danger at all cost. Uh, that's what I appreciate about of these games. But it's always comes at the cost of being a very cheesy, like campy horror movie. Uh, and not even Friday the 13th quality, because Friday the 13th, like for instance, which is like the classic slasher, by the lake movie, it's a bit more serious. I feel like than these games. These games don't even take themselves too seriously, which is good. But they don't feel as like high stakes as that movie, if it makes sense. But it's still fun.
I think the difference between what you're talking about is because Friday the 13th, I don't know, maybe I don't know so much like details about that production and all that, but I think that was a movie that was more or less trying to take itself seriously.
Exactly, but it
Whereas
did it
the
well.
Quarry, like in Until Dawn, they know what they are, they know what they want to be,
hmm
and they play into that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like watching the movie Fast and the Furious and then watching Ford versus Ferrari. It's like one takes itself seriously and one's an actual car movie, and then the other one is just mayhem, but it's still fun in some way. Uh, but they're both about the same thing. But I appreciate. Okay, I didn't know you were playing the Quarry. So right as soon as the celebration happened, you immediately went for the Quarry or TMNT then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because again, those were two games that I wasn't expecting to play so soon. But the fact that Sammy really wanted to play the Quarry after seeing the stream stuff like that, and I was already kind of down anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then Team and T, I kind of just bought off a whim. I saw a couple of gameplay videos on Twitter, and I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely something I want to play. With
It looks so
with her
good.
now, yeah,
I didn't grow up with TMNT, but I've like is that one thing that I've always like heard about and I've known because of people that talk to me about it. And I've seen maybe like some episodes of some show because I know there's like a couple of different ones. I've seen uh I think I watched one of the live action movies, I think. I don't know which one. I just have a memory.
the scary ass live action movies with the
I don't
costumes and everything. Yeah,
But now I'm thinking, I don't even know if it's the live action, like true live action, or the 3D one, the TMNT 3D one, that they did. Because I know they also did the most recent one with, was it Megan Fox?
I think so. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because she played April. Yep.
yeah, those I didn't watch. Not because I didn't want it, but I'm not a TMNT guy. But it's always been one of those things that I look at and I feel nostalgia for something that I never experienced. Kind of like how I feel with Stranger Things. When the theme hits, I'm like, I feel nostalgia, but I didn't live through the 90s. I was born in 97. Like we're all from like the end of the 90s, all three of us. So it's not like we experienced like the 80s or
Well, I'm
something. But
94. I know what you're talking about, man. I'm
that's
like
still
mid 90s.
90s, yo boomer. That's still 90s, but you didn't live through like the 80s and like the resurgence of like the computer or like all this stuff that's like super ingrained into like these games or movies.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really appreciate the feeling that these games evoke. See, it doesn't have to be something that you like. It can be, you gotta be open minded, you know.
Yeah, that's what makes like Supermassive games a little like have a different flavor to it because they're a little more modernized. They're not like in that era really.
Right.
They actually, cell phones actually exist and stuff like that, and they're like the cast and the core is even talking about podcasts and stuff like that. So they're like in a whole new era, but they're still
Podcast.
super dumb.
Who
And
even watches a podcast?
they're all still super dumb and selfish. But I had to say, Walt, the best character, no surprise in the entire game, it happens to be Brenda Song's character. She's a G.
Really?
She's amazing.
I
Yeah,
forgot she's
she's
in
the
that.
one that actually has the most common sense out of all of them. And she's actually really funny. So she's actually the best
Okay.
character for sure. On top
Wasn't
of
that the same in for Hayden Panettiere's character in Until Dawn?
yeah. Hayden
Uh,
Panettiere's character was the best one actually.
who was hated? Was that Sam?
Yeah.
Okay, Sam was honest. For me, it was Sam, and I really liked Ashley because of her development throughout the game. That was Galadriel Simon's character. But for what's funny, I'm like on part 2 of the playthrough of these guys, and I met Brenda Song's character, and I didn't immediately like her. Like she gave me Emily vibes from Until Dawn.
Yeah, she's standoffish. That's why.
Like very standoffish, very arrogant. Like at times, like it felt very like she's always challenging every single thing. She's like a contrarian, you know. But it feels like she could grow on me, or she could like some develop. That's what I love about these games is when they have development. Like even in Until Dawn, I think one of my favorite changes in attitude was from, oh God, I forgot her name, but it's the girl, the very ditzy like dumb. It was Mike's girlfriend. I forgot her name. She was really, really stupid. And no, she was like very like she was like an airhead. Do you remember her?
No, I don't remember. I mean, I'm gonna replay that with Sammy too, because I.
Oh
sort
my
of
God,
remember
Jay!
that, so.
Like it's killing me. Do you remember her, Soul?
No.
Oh my God, good. They were in the cabin. She's like, oh, we need to get ready, and then she gets like abducted by the Wendigo. Oh my
I
God!
don't remember actually.
Ah, Jesus. Anyways,
It's been
continue.
4 years since I played that game.
Yeah, it's been ages since you played damn Sly. You still remember Rosita?
That's not even her name.
I don't know.
That's not even
What's her
her.
name? What's her name?
Anyway,
What's her name? No, anyway. What's her damn name?
Macho is
Carmelita. Carmelita is her name.
Carmelita.
Is that
You
it
still
for you?
remember her? No. Macho, don't macho him. Carmelita. And we're not finished. We were talking with Dodan. What were we saying, Macho?
Yeah, I'm kind of done. That's all I want to say.
Wow. Wow. I see.
Guys, let's move into the podcast proper, man.
We've been in podcast proper for ages. What do you mean?
Man, we've been talking about this. This goddamn was almost a topic of itself, man.
Well, good.
So let's knock out like some of these smaller topics before we get into like the really big stuff. The reason why the people are here today.
Is it the reason?
I mean, Final Fantasy VII, yeah.
Is that why they're here?
That's why I'm here.
I would-
That's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here. Shit.
That's why you're here? Nah. Get the hell out of here! Get the hell out of my house!
So first of all, let's talk about the Capcom showcase, the
Yes,
one that they
sir.
had before the Dragon's Dogma stuff. So I mean, the pretty much like the biggest thing that came out from that was the Resident Evil Village DLC, right?
And a little
No.
bit, yeah, a little bit RE4, but yeah, I think he's right. The Resident Evil Village Gold Edition, 100% was a highlight.
Wait, so was
It
this
wasn't
like
the only thing.
I didn't say it was the only thing. I'm just saying probably like the biggest thing. Like we,
Oh, the biggest, yeah.
but
Absolutely.
so is this like a new like separate like version of the game you're buying? It's not just like add-on DLC.
So, as they explained it, correct me if I'm wrong, Macho. You will be able to buy these things separately. However, there will be an edition that will have all of it in one package. You will be able to, however, buy the winter expansion, which will feature all of this. Gold edition is just a fancy way of saying, oh yeah, it includes. It's like the Resident Evil 7 Deluxe or Gold edition that they did, where it included the escape house, the 21 card game, and everything. But it is still an expansion. That's just an addition that it's like the Game of the Year, version, like where it'll have everything already included.
Yeah, well, lower down your mic a little bit. You're a little loud.
Am I? Yeah. Am
Yeah,
I loud,
A
Macho?
little bit. Just back away from
I'll
your
be
mic. You
louder if you want.
stop mouth breathing on your mic. You could. We could.
Oh man.
No, but well, it's right. Yeah, it's you could buy this thing separately, but there is like a separate like edition, which is the gold edition. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
but they're
So-
treated
so-
as two different SKUs too. So like, I know some people had problems if they got Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition. They had some issues upgrading to the next gen quote unquote version. I didn't have a problem, but I did have to like a little bit with the PSN store to actually get the version I needed to upgrade.
So what I'm hearing is that I waited, for the perfect time to finally jump into Village because I'm gonna get the version that comes with all the DLC now, which is pretty cool. Which also like first of all like the Rose DLC within itself is pretty cool, but the fact that they're making like a third person, that they're making the game in third person, we can actually see Ethan Winters now. I
That
think
blew
is-
my mind, man.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool.
Which is interesting because in the concept art list, you see everything that's in the game that you can visibly see, but for some reason they had the Ethan Winters model, and you
And
were
his
like,
face shadowed out.
Yeah,
They didn't
and I
want
was
us to
like,
see his face.
why do they have this? And now it makes sense that they had. They had this plan from the beginning. Ethan Winters, there was someone that modded or did something in Resident Evil 7 where they like found Resident Evil, Ethan Winters' model, but it was like distorted or something. I don't know. But yeah, man, we'll get to see his back.
Yeah. Yeah, I am very, very curious to see this. God fucking damn it. Yeah, and then also, so like on top of this, of course, mercenaries. It was a matter of time, man, that Lady Dimitrescu is going to be playable in Mercenaries, which is
Amen.
really
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. And
I
Heisenberg as
got
well.
really excited. I would say,
I'm honestly more excited to play as Heisenberg because he has cool powers. But you can also they'll also add I think a Chris mission to the mercenaries mode.
I think you just play at Chris Rushfield in general in Mercenaries.
Well, because I know that they added like actual missions to mercenary, but then they added also the Heisenberg in. I wonder if it's a level tailored for these characters, or if you can just change between them for all the mercenary missions.
No, I think it'll be all. It'll be weird if it's just like one or two level specific and like you can't do it for the rest of them.
I wonder if like as Lady Dimitrescu, if like the character as Lady D, you'll be able to when you go through whatchamacallit? Oh my god, a door? You have to like crouch or like she does an animation to like go through rooms.
That would be pretty cool.
It'll make it even harder to get shit done, but it's pretty dope, man. They're also doing the Winters, the Rose, what's it called? Rose, Winter, Rose, her DLC, Rose's DLC. It's very much it reminded me of Evil Within, because it is all subconscious. It's not an actual level. You're doing all of this inside of the mind of the Megamycete, which is the parasite of the game, which is where the mold came from and all this. And apparently, from the trailer, she encounters another her, like an identical version of her, like it's a clone, and then something called Michael or someone is guiding her through this labyrinth or consciousness or whatever the term for that place is. But I don't think do you fight in that? Did they show fighting, Macho?
I don't know. I think it's just more like exploration. But
Okay.
I can assume she's fighting as well because she seems to be going against someone that looks like her. Mm-hmm. So I would assume that there's some action scenarios there, whether it be like her having powers or like whatever the case may be.
Right, and it's interesting because this Megamycete, this is like as they've established, this is like very very old. I wonder if through these memories we'll be able to explore like the past or like figments of reality or like we'll be able to see other parts of the world where this parasite might be. And I don't know, they have a lot of stuff that they can do, very wacky stuff, which aside from that expansion, so I don't know if your reason to buy the product will be this, but they announced also that they're doing the first person for Resident Evil Village. Do you, after the week, because it came out during the state of play that they were doing the VR.
What, you mean the third person?
Yeah, no, for the game, just the VR too. Do you feel more compelled to get into VR, or are you still like lukewarm on it?
No.
Yeah, you're not even considering it.
No. I mean,
No,
that's another.
I think I'm the only one that's really sold on a Resident Evil 8 VR.
It's not even that I'm not sold. It's just like a purely like financial reason. And then also like I like
Gotcha.
forking over what $300-$400 for
I don't know how much it's gonna be
for what like 2-3 games that I would probably play on it. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't think I would. But more power to you.
I'm not buying it.
But besides that, yeah, we got a little bit more into RE4. They also showed off Resident Evil 2 and 3 on next generation consoles.
Which is cool.
Which is definitely cool.
I dabbled a little bit into it. It needs a little fixing.
Yeah.
Especially 2. I didn't try out 7, but I didn't try out 3, but from what I understood that high frame rate mode is 120 frames per second. And then ray tracing is ray tracing, so do that with what you will. But the ray tracing is at 30 frames, it's not at 60, so just be warned. It's a little
Which
dry.
at 120 frames, let's be real, people, you're not noticing the difference anymore. After 60, it's hard to notice the difference. And if you notice it, you're being very pedantic, you're being very specific, because it's not. No.
Macho, can you notice it?
Yes.
Macho, oh, that's cap. That's a cap. That's cap.
It's not cap.
That's a massive cap.
It's not about what it looks like. It's what it feels like. Like you can see a difference between 30 and 60, but how the game feels and if playing it at 120, you feel the difference. I can tell the difference between 60 and 120 for 5.7 remake.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Ori and the Will of the Wisp, actually, playing that game at 60 is great, but it's nothing compared to playing it at 144.
I'd imagine it's the same thing for like something like Doom Eternal. Like,
yeah,
just make that game absolutely fucking insane.
Oh yeah, 100%. I made the mistake of having Doom Eternal as my first person shooter game on PC using mouse and keyboard. At like 144, I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna get the best experience possible, dude. When I tell you I was exhausted after every damn session in that game, it was something else. But yeah, you can feel the difference absolutely between these frames. It just depends on the game for sure. So for something like Resident Evil, more than likely not. You won't feel this between 60 and 120. Slower. Yeah, and then some for like the Quarry, like who cares if it's at 30 or 60? Like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't notice, you can feel the difference, which is different.
Yeah, so you can feel this between 60 and 120. Even 60 and 90, you could feel it, but like seeing it, it's
Because there are people that claim that they can see the difference between 60 and 120, which by all means give me those eyes, because that's insane perception.
Yeah, I don't know. Even playing on PC for this long of a time, I don't really like see the difference. I feel it. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, and really besides that, I mean, was there besides like the Resident Evil stuff, was there much of anything else to talk about in this showcase before we get to the Dragon's Dogma stuff?
Big thing? No, I mean they showed more
Exo
Monster
Primal
Hunter.
looked cool.
Metro Primal looked cool. That I agree with. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It looked really cool. I'm more interested in it, and Monster Hunter keeps being fantastic, and Capcom keeps doing good stuff.
Yeah, we're talking about the music and Monster Hunter a little bit during our reactions, and yeah, that I can't wait to actually see or actually hear rather like the actual soundtrack when it releases on YouTube, so I can just indulge in that at work. I love listening to the Monster Hunter soundtrack during work hours.
Nice.
So
Yeah, and like back to what Walt just said, like yeah, fuck yeah for Capcom. I'm so happy for them. Like it really feels like, and then we'll obviously we'll get the Square to Square as well, but it really feels like these two companies are just like fucking firing on all cylinders, man. It's really cool to watch.
yeah,
So yeah, and so that was the Capcom showcase, and then I believe a few days after that they had a Dragon's Dogma celebration, which was funny because I think in the showcase they actually mentioned, that they were saying that hey, we're having a celebration, in a couple days from now or whatever. Or I think they may have even talked about it a little bit more during the showcase, but like I remember watching some reactions and people were so disappointed that Dogma 2 wasn't announced there because this has been a long rumored thing. And they were expecting it at this showcase and it wasn't there. So people were like so mad at Capcom. But lo and behold, a few days later during the celebration, they did finally announce that Dragon's Dogma 2 is in development. We didn't get too much besides literally them just saying, that it's in development and that it's going to be using the RE engine, which is fucking awesome, dude.
oh nice.
Yeah, I am so ecstatic to see how that game is going to look like in honestly like one of the prettiest engines in the industry, in my opinion. But yeah, man, did this announcement ruffle your feathers or anything like that? Like, what did this do for you guys?
Not much because I haven't played the original, but it still gets me really excited because, like you said, Capcom is firing all cylinders. Even something that seems as generic as Exoprimal still gets me not excited but interested because it's Capcom and they really are doing their thing this generation.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're working on like a fan acclaimed series like Dragon's Dogma and bringing it out with a sequel is going to be an RE engine makes me really excited, and I'm definitely interested. I want to go. I'm definitely going to play the first game before the new one comes out. So, which by the way, is Dark Arisen like a Game of the Year edition or is that like a 1.5? Like what is that?
I think it is, and I think it's also like a remastered. But I'm pretty sure it comes with like the DLC.
It's an expansion and re-release of Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. I mean, for anybody that's interested, yeah, it's like $5 everywhere right now. I think so.
Even on mobile?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
I'm on the same boat. I'll probably try out Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen to get ready for that one. I don't like jumping into the sequels without playing the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say something like 55 hours into the first game. I haven't finished it yet because I remember hitting a wall. I think I don't think it was because of like level or anything like that, but I think I was just playing like too much of that game that I just like tired myself out.
Why are you hitting walls?
You know what I mean.
Okay.
But yeah, but yeah, it's a really good game. Like it's just like in terms of it being like an RPG, like it's really fun. I talked about the pawn system extensively in earlier podcasts and just like how unique the pawn system is, just like within itself. Like I really have never seen that before in a game. And that was me using the pawn system in a strictly like single player sense. Like I didn't even utilize it with multiplayer. So that's a whole other facet of that game that I haven't even experienced yet. But I still had such a fun time with that game. what's also really really cool is that in a pseudo like Shadow of the Colossus way, you kind of like climb on top of like these giant enemies like ogres and chimeras and things like that, and it has this really cool dismemberment system where if you are fighting like a chimera, which is like in there's multiple versions of it in this game, but there's one that's like a lion with like a an eagle's head on its back and a serpent for a tail, and like you can actually dismember, like if you climb onto its back, like you can, if you focus specifically on the tail, then you can cut that thing right off, or if you focus specifically on the eagle head, you can chop that thing right off as well, right? So like depending on like where you focus your attacks and stuff like that, and your party members attacks and things like that, you can actually cut off those specific limbs, which is really really cool. um but yeah, just that within itself, like the combat is really really interesting, and the player expression that you have within the combat, because you can like set specific skills to specific buttons, and you can interchange those things and stuff like that. You can utilize your party members to like do combos and things like that. I don't know, it's just a really weird, like unique game, that like it's the definition of a cult classic, and I'm so happy that it's coming back, because like it is a cult classic in the sense of like it's rough, but you could see sort of like the potential in there, something truly, truly great, on the level of a Witcher. And you would hope that like with a sequel with a little bit more backing and financial support, that it could really like reach that potential. So yeah, I'm super excited for it. I don't think we'll get this for a while, but yeah, I'm excited nonetheless, man. And this is the game that Alana Pierce and Corey at SMS, these two have been like championing for a really really long time, and I know that they were excited once it finally got announced. Um, so yeah, that is Dragon's Dogma 2. Um, what do you guys want to jump into next? You want to talk into Xbox Bethesda, or or I feel like I should even say FF7 because I know what Macho's answer is gonna be.
No, let's jump into Xbox Bethesda. We'll end this podcast on a high note.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about Xbox Bethesda. They had their showcase on Sunday, I believe. It went a little over an hour and a half, chock full of games. And like I said at the start of the podcast, man, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this because we didn't really talk about it too much, or I didn't talk about it too much with you guys. But yeah, so over an hour and a half. I thought it was really an interesting choice that literally during the show they're like, "Hey guys, this is gonna be the next 12 months," you know, like
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
telling us that like well in advance, right? Because that's my thing. Like people wouldn't have been as disappointed with this show if they had been up front and said that like well in advance, like a few days before. That's all it took, right? Just like a few days before the showcase went live, like, hey, just letting you guys know, just setting expectations that this is going to be focused on what the 12 next 12 months look like on Xbox. But then, they hid that until literally while the show was actually going on. So I can understand why people felt like the rug was kind of pulled out from underneath them. But how did you guys feel about that in general? This whole idea of them going with the quote unquote next 12 months on Xbox.
You start much.
Yeah, I actually I like the idea, but like you said, I wish they told people, because a lot of the expectations it comes to June showcases for video games is that you bring the big guns, right?
Yeah.
You're showcasing what your platform is going to be having for here on into the future. But having like a nice condensed showcase for like the next year is really smart, because their main focus for a while now has been Game Pass. And what does Netflix and all these streaming services do? They have content shown to you within the next year or so keep you subscribed, get you excited. So that's exactly what Xbox's mentality did for this showcase, which is smart. They're giving you something for nearly every month, and from June of now until June of next year, which again, I can see why, and that makes a ton of sense for them to do. But I do agree with you that the rug was pulled from under them, from their fans that were expecting something really, really like a mega hit announcements, or at least gameplay showcases, whether it been like Avowed or I don't know, something like a Fable or whatever, like whatever the case may be, people were expecting it to be there, was just not there. And I told you guys before already, like a lot of the Xbox fans, a lot of predictions I was watching, all their entire bingo card was just thrown in the trash. They got nothing on their bingo cards, man. Um,
Yeah.
but overall, the showcase itself, I thought it was well placed in the beginning. It started off strong, had a very, very like meandering middle, and then ended off pretty strongly with Starfield. We'll get more into Starfield too, but yeah, overall in the showcase, I think it was just okay. I wasn't really like blown away by it. I actually had to. For me, if I had to look up like a list a couple times throughout the week of what was shown and what like really stood out, then to me it's like it wasn't that memorable, and I had to do that for the Xbox showcase. But also because I think it's because they showed a lot of games and it was very long. If they would have just kept it to like an hour at least and cut some of the fat, I feel like it would have been a lot stronger showcase. But I mean, I guess my rating for it really would have been like a 6.5. Of
Yeah,
just
like-
view of watching it, but overall, yeah, I think it was just not super memorable. I don't think it was their best.
Yeah, there's no reason why it needed to be that long, and then there was no reason to have the extended showcase afterwards, like when we barely get anything.
Well, it was so funny inside when people were like, "Wait till the Xbox Bethesda showcase." All right, it was kind of a dud. Wait till Tuesday, and then now everybody's saying, "Wait till next year." I'm just like, "Oh God, their motto is starting to become wait till whatever now."
Yeah,
It's
I
kinda
feel
sucks.
like they really like dug themselves a hole with in 2020 they went out and announced hey, here's Fable. Hey, here's State of Decay 3. 2019 we announced goddamn Hellblade 2. Perfect Dark we announced that year at the Game Awards. Avowed was announced in 2020 as well, right? So like my thing is like, why are you guys announcing these games when they're still like those games were like barely concepts is what we're finding out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like in pre-productions, basically.
yeah, like we more than likely won't get a lot of those games until 2024. So like they really dug themselves a hole in the sense of like, okay, like you guys announced these games so early and we haven't seen them in two E3s. Like keep in mind, we didn't see those games last E3 either.
Yep.
So it's just like, and God knows what happened to Everwild. Um, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just a really like bizarre choice, man. Like, and like you know, with them saying the next 12 months and whatever at the start of the show, I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised because like none of these games are ready to be shown off.
Yeah, I feel
So,
like
but
to be honest, I feel like Starfield wasn't even be ready to show off.
we'll get into that. But yeah, man, and it sucks because like we did our predictions, you know, the podcast before the show went live. And like, you know, I said I wanted to see, you know, more Plague Tale. I got that, but at the same time, like I wanted to see Avowed at the very least, and yeah, the fact that we didn't get that was disappointing to me for sure.
Did you expect to see Pentiment?
Yeah, cause that was yeah. I listened to Xbox 2 and you know some other people who I guess are like pseudo Xbox. I don't want to call them Xbox insiders, but people who like hear things and stuff like that, and they've been tossing around the word Pentiment around for like a couple months before that was actually announced. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I definitely knew that was the thing. Thanks to them. But at the same time, like they were billing it as like, you know, they were like, hey, like Xbox this year is gonna look really really barren for Xbox, but Pentiment might be the one and only thing that they have releasing at the end of the year, and like
Season
those
reactions to that
poor
was hilarious.
those poor Xbox fans were thinking that was gonna be like a really big fall release, and then they actually see it, and then you have Kid Smooth freaking out on the timeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think that's my general thoughts. What about you, Walt?
Okay. So
Well, it's trying to be
So
so
the-
simple.
yeah. So I'm trying to not go too hard on people. let's see. I don't want to regurgitate past shit that I've said. So, the showcase. Let me break it down. First of all, me entering to the showcase, right? Let's go all the way back to the day prior. Predictions. My predictions was more Japanese games on Xbox. Was more specifically bring Persona to Xbox. Spoiler alert, my prediction came through. If phenomenally excited, I'm really happy that Xbox will have that group of all three Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Gold, and Persona 5 Royal will all be on Xbox and Xbox Game Pass.
And Wulong Dynasty as well.
And Wulong Dynasty.
There was a little funkiness with that, with them not saying that it was coming to PS5 like the day after. Like they had to wait like 2 days for Team Ninja to be like, hey, like yeah, this game is coming to everything, which was
right.
a little weird to me.
So I assume that's some insider stuff of what announcements are permitted and what not. Because the more I've been listening to more different podcasts where they talk about how announcements are very much there's a process to making sure that they get the green light to being shown at X or Y showcase. So announcements are not just something, oh no, yeah, let's just fit this spot. There's like a lengthy process and a lot of like quote unquote like signings that have to happen or signatures that have to happen for it to be approved. So I assume they just came to understanding where that would be announced then. They specify during the moment where Persona was announced and Wulong, they specified just how much they want to bring more Japanese games to the Xbox ecosystem and Game Pass and all that. Now, come Sunday, I actually reacted alongside Level 1 Gaming to the showcase, and there was a lot of mixed feelings in the panel.
Oh, really?
There were some mixed feelings. I'm just going to mention on the general, someone we know and respect, and how he felt about it, which I think is very fair, because it's someone that genuinely afterwards reflected on the showcase, which I commend everyone to check out Fame's take on it, and how he initially, the hype made him feel like he was extremely disappointed, but then he reflected on the showcase a couple of days later, and then on the XP podcast, he mentioned how where he had Jeff Grubb, Randall Thor, and Delilah HD, he talked about how he actually felt like it was a good showcase and that it makes sense that they touch on the next 12 months because realistically, we want to see games that we're going to be able to play soon. I want to touch on the thing that you mentioned, the hole that they dig themselves. I think that that's a double in the street. Is that how you say it? Double in the street, whatever? Two-sided street?
Two-way street.
A two-way street. You dig your hole by saying, hey, this game is going to come out, but then it's 2030. It's something ridiculous.
Like the other Enix should do, yeah.
The other way of that street is people succumbing to that and saying, oh, if they announce it, it has to be soon. I think people talk about how, I don't have time to play games, whatever, at work and whatever. Oh, then I assume that you're adult. You're an adult with a human brain that can process the fact that these companies make these asinine decisions of announcing games that are not even in pre-production sometimes.
Yeah.
So I hate that. I don't like it. That's why I assumed that when Breath of the Wild the sequel was announced, they were already like in the works because those games, Nintendo is super obsessive with details and making sure that their game are super pristine the way that they want to. So, certain games, I don't know if that falls in that, but I really don't like when games are announced not even pre-production. But I also don't like when audiences take it too seriously to where Macho said that he was on a lot of podcasts where they mentioned that their bingo cards and whatever. That sounds like fun. It's like Easy Allies. Easy Allies make this whole thing where they do predictions and they do like scorings, and that's fun. But they're not over here running smear campaigns on social media and becoming just absolutely filled with vitriol to where they start attacking other fans of other consoles and whatnot. So, what did I think about the showcase? I like the showcase. Why did I like the showcase? Not only did I come out of the showcase with like at least 3 things that I loved, not necessarily new things. It doesn't have to be new for me. It just has to be something I'm excited for. Right off the gate, I think Redfall doesn't look bad. I think Redfall looks like I like to try it. It looks like it could be fun because I like the whole premise of like COD zombies, like the whole zombie like waves thing. This is just that take on vampires and it's like an open world and whatever. It looks fun. I like to check it out. After that, it blew me out of the water with showing me some more Silksong, actual Silksong footage, and it's coming up Game Pass, and that's insane. We're gonna be able to play the game. I mean, I'm gonna buy it regardless. I don't need to try it before I buy it. It's a game that I'm gonna buy, yes or yes.
Yeah, same.
I felt like, and you know, take this with a grain of salt because I haven't played it, but like I felt nothing with that trailer because like we've been waiting for that game for so long and it still doesn't have a release date. So like I feel like I know how do I word this? Like I feel like I know exactly the same about that game as I knew, you know, the day before that showcase. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. That was kind of like a nothing trailer to me without that release date.
It's funny you say that because I couldn't really like put into words of why. Because the thing is, when me and Sammy were watching the showcase, and as soon as Silksong came out, she like looked at me to see a reaction. I was just looking at the trailer. I was like, okay, like it's Silksong, like it looks great, it looks awesome, like I love the combos and everything. And I was waiting just for that release date at the end. It just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And
For me, it's the fact that they announced the 12.
And it's when I said there's no release date is when she looked at me. She's like, "Oh, okay, there's the reaction." I'm like, "Yeah, I was really expecting this game to at least have a release date after being so out of the loop for so long, you know."
Right. But then they say this is everything that's going to come out in the next 12 months, and then I felt relieved.
Not everything, because keep in mind, you know, that they also showed Kojima up on there too. So and that.
But they didn't show a game. They just said that they're working on a game.
Sure, but you know, you know, they come out and say, "Hey, everything here that's shown here today is in the next 12 months." But that's a big asterisk because no,
They
not
just showed
everything.
Kojima. They just showed him. They didn't show the game.
Okay, all right.
What other thing they showed that is not going to come out next year?
I mean, if Silksong was coming out in the next 12 months, I feel like they would have told us. They would have said, they would have, on the goddamn rooftops, they would have been like, hey, here is when Silksong is coming out. The fact that they still don't have a release date for that, when everything pretty much at least had like a window or a time frame or when you can expect it to come out, the fact that Silksong didn't, I'm not confident that that game is coming out anytime soon. Like, I don't know.
I'm super confident it will. It's just a matter of there's a huge difference if they say August versus March. Massive difference. It's a small team. They just finished recording all the lines for Hornet about like 3 months ago. I'm almost certain that they're in the finishing touches. It just needs to be not hopeful on the date being August versus a March. I do think it'll come out the next year. I prefer to say something will happen or it doesn't happen when I'm excited for it than to say that it won't happen and then eat crow when I genuinely wanted to be excited for it. So I think it's going to be in the next year. Now, after Silksong, we had High on Life. We had a lot of like other
Which
games.
that looked cool. I liked High on Life. That looked cool.
I liked how High on Life looks. I want to call out all the clowns that say, "Oh, it looks like Rick and Morty." Yeah, because it's made by the same creator. Clown. And then this is where it started to get muddy. Because I don't think the showcase was bad for its content. I think it was bad for how dragged out it was at times. Now, I'm not saying I don't want people talking. What I don't appreciate is the fact that there are moments where a couple seconds make a huge difference and like story beats. Just like a story, there's going to be downtime that just the slightest mishap of a sentence or a paragraph will throw off the whole chapter. And I think that for the showcase, there were moments where they could very much had cut, like y'all mentioned, some fat. Now, I'm not going to deny developers to talk about their game. I bet they're super, especially when it's an indie game. I bet they're super excited to talk about the game that they've been, working their ass off on, and talk a bit about it and express their excitement for it. I'm all for that. It's the fact that there was just fluff, and not fluff in what they were saying, fluff and maybe footage, or like Forza. They really focused in on the change of weather and which is all cool and all, but just showing like a few minutes less of that could have been enough, I think.
I'm surprised that game isn't coming out this year either.
Stuff like that. Yeah, no, that's one thing that was really surprising, how a lot of these games are very like early 2023.
Yeah.
Or the end of this year. Like almost like very few things are from July to the November.
Yeah. They had,
if anything,
it shows that they actually like had little to nothing for this year. It's like
correct.
Starfield's like their only really big thing.
Right, which I think then next year, just how this year started strong with PlayStation, with Horizon, whatever, I think then next year we'll have a little bit more excitement for people that, want some of these indies and Game Pass games and whatever. But I think that what I mentioned in the reaction was that the ideal way to do a showcase is by starting off and finishing off super strong. Whatever you may think of what they showed, they did start and finish super strong with 2 exclusives and with 2 games that are incredibly anticipated by the public and the fans. And I think that's the way to do an exciting showcase, because it incentivizes you to remember the middle part. It incentivizes you to talk a bit more about what was talked about.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think anyone would be anticipating Redfall if it wasn't exclusive.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree. I wasn't really impressed with what was shown, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But again, I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters, anyways, and co-op shooters at that. But it's just, I don't know, I wasn't really expecting something like that from Arcane, or it just didn't. It didn't look even like better than, or at least as impressive, at least as God, the game that Soul doesn't like. I can't remember the name.
Deathloop.
Deathloop, yeah.
Yeah, like kudos to them for trying something new. Like I'll always be in support of that.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, this like, even if it was coming to PlayStation, like this, and especially after Deathloop, like this game looks like a skip for me.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be able to play it either. But also, in terms of it being an exclusive and it being what it is in terms of a first-person shooter, multiplayer and whatnot, I saw a lot of, during the reaction, in the chat, during the chat in the panel, there was a lot of love for that trailer, which I assume that not only the fact that it's an exclusive, but also the fact that people that want Xbox to have more exclusives while having multi-platforms.
But more first-person co-op shooters, too?
I mean, they're excited for it. I know that there's already so many.
Yeah.
But they're looking forward to it, and I think,
okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna stop them from being excited for it.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like differentiating. Did it do anything for me? I found it interesting. I'm not crazy for it, but I saw people that really, really, really enjoyed what they watched, and for me, that's like a win for me. Like when I see like someone that actually really, really excited for something that I was like whatever, like mid on it, I'm like, oh shit. Okay, well, I'm not the only person in the world. And again, is it fun? No, it's fucking boring to be this like, accepting of other people. It's fun to be a toxic, fuck on the internet.
No, dude, that's not what that's not what we're getting at, man. We're solely judging like the showcase itself.
No. What I'm getting at is that after that, and I think we'll all like, we were witness to, and just especially you, Macho, just how incredibly vicious people became after the FF celebration, which we'll get into that celebration later.
Oh, you see, I'm not touching on that though.
No. What I'm touching is like the whole week, because this whole week was a homogenous thing. Gotcha. Like everything, like there was a up down of emotions from a lot of people.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like a lot of people a lot of trolls. Yesterday we were listening to a space where essentially we saw this, clown buffoonery happen with a lot of people, which I think, hey,
you gotta stop putting energy into or putting yourself in those spaces or
It was my first space ever, though.
yeah, I don't know, like
Yeah, man.
those people are so
Well, I'll give you some really clean cut advice, right? I'm in those spaces because I'm listening for entertainment, and I don't bring
No,
that.
and it was fun. It was
yeah,
funny.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
we-
I'm not gonna bring those up into the podcast either because like
Yeah.
that's a small minority of
Very small.
loud people, and again, it's funny, it's entertaining, but like I don't take it seriously.
No, not
Like,
at all.
and I know before. I know we talked before. Like some arguments they bring up at some points they bring up. Yeah, they have some validity to them, and they actually bring up some good points and some good arguments. But regardless of the fact, it's like it's again why even
unimportant.
bother?
Yeah, they're unimportant. So like, literally, like they don't they don't warrant like breath out of your lungs, man. Like don't give them like time of day.
Yeah,
especially
that's
on this podcast, man. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm not going to mention anything about the Xbox and Final Fantasy VII remake stuff. Like I'm not at all. I'm not even going to touch the 10-foot pole.
or
It's not
why
worth
we
it.
wouldn't talk about the goddamn petition that people made for Kojima and Xbox or whatever the hell
Yeah.
it was that they were doing. Like it doesn't matter. Like like we don't need to bring it up.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad y'all aren't toxic. I appreciate you too. I appreciate it. This is great. This is what I like. I like people to be level-headed. Okay, I like the showcase, and I like what some of the things that were announced. I came out excited for some of the announcements. I'm glad that there's finally some Persona on the Xbox.
Yeah,
that was
huge.
my big thing. That was my biggest thing. But yeah, man.
Persona on Xbox is huge, man. That's like that, especially those two games, Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3. It's portable. It's not the FPS version. It's portable. But those games haven't seen the light of day on any other platform other than Steam in years.
Man,
So
they did the same thing with Wulong, where there was a little bit of shenanigans of whether or not this was coming to PlayStation or not. I'm like,
Yeah,
why? Like,
yeah.
just say, like, just tell us. Like, why are you like hiding it?
oh, it's just to get the media clout. That's why. That's why.
Guess so, man.
Yeah, it's just to steal the attention. Like is it or not coming to the platform? I mean, the main selling point is that it's coming to the Xbox platform. Like that's the main seller. The fact it's coming to everyone else is like it's a big bonus, especially Persona 5 Royal getting a PS5 version. So it's actually getting a next gen update.
And that's the only one that has an actual date. Oh,
Yeah.
Which is this October?
Yeah, October
November?
21st, I think. Yeah.
October 21st. Okay.
It just shows how weird Alice is, like not releasing all these games on the same day. Like it's so weird.
Bro, they're just weird with everything. Like it's sometimes they tell you no day, and then next they're like, "There's a mouthwash. Shut up." And it's like, okay.
Yeah. I think
it's
it's
exciting.
great that it's finally coming because I think that was really requested more than Final Fantasy VII Remake from what I see from Xbox fans. That they always want a Persona, and Persona's like that's the one game that they want or one series they want on their platform, and they finally
Yeah, that's the
got it.
only game you need to play before you die. Just play Persona. That's the only game you need to play. No, every other game. Listen, if someone tells you, "Oh man, we didn't ask for this," no. No game in existence is necessary. Only Persona. You only need to play Persona ever in your life. If you play Persona 5 or Persona 4, any of the Personas, you're good. You can die in peace. You're fine.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Persona fan, but I can even agree with that. You have to play at least one of them.
Hey man, but now you have Dragon Quest, Persona, and Final Fantasy on Game Pass. That's pretty dope.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
before we touch on Starfield, I guess we should talk about Kojima. The long since rumored Xbox partnership that involves the cloud was finally revealed. I saw this meme that I think I retweeted that it was like a picture of Kojima. And it was like, shows up, says absolutely nothing, leaves. I was like, yep. But my thing with and like I can neither be excited. I guess I'm excited purely based off because it's Kojima. But besides that, we know nothing about the game aside from its cloud. But like my biggest takeaway from this was that, man, like I really and I feel like Xbox fans should feel this way too. But like the whole thing about Phil Spencer, teasing things on his shelf, it's like, sure, it's a little cute moment, like for sure, but like you're kind of like ruining and spoiling like your own surprises. Like, what the fuck is the point of like doing that? Like he teased, he put the Kojima Productions figurine of the Ludens right next to the Xbox symbol on his shelf, like way back when. And right, people a year ago were like, "Oh, okay, this means something. Death Stranding coming to Xbox or something." I don't know. So like, I don't know, like why even do that? Because you are literally spoiling like one of your biggest surprises. Like, can you imagine if no one knew, beforehand that this was a thing, and then you actually show up to the showcase, and then bam, Kojima is there. You're like, whoa, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that kind of took the wind out of the sails and that announcement a little bit, because like everyone knew that something was going on. So
It's to get people talking, man. It's to get people talking and get some followers on his account so he can keep sharing more of his movie love to Xbox fans. I don't know, man. I truly think it's like a marketing thing. Like it's like he's like, yes, this'll get them. This'll catch them by surprise.
Well, my question is this game he's working with on Xbox the possible leaked or the leaked game that
Overdose?
I showed you guys? Overdose? Yeah, the horror game.
I honestly
be.
don't know. I mean, it's a possibility,
But
but
right
like,
now, it's like
Yeah.
100% possible. Like everything's possible right now because we literally know nothing. So
because we assume that Overdose is a thing, and then we don't know if the cloud thing that he's working on is Overdose. Are they two separate things, right? Because it sounds like
Yeah.
he hasn't even started this cloud project yet. Because I mean, purely based off of the fact that he was just like, "Yep, I'm working on something with Xbox. Goodbye."
yeah,
Like that would indicate to me. And then he also said in that presentation or that talk or whatever that, hey, don't expect this for a while. So like, to me that indicates that this is very, very far off. And then obviously there's Death Stranding 2. That's a thing apparently.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it's a possibility that he's working on three things, or Overdose is the cloud game. I don't know. It could be anything.
man. If we didn't know what you were talking about, it sounds like you just said gibberish right now. Because like, Death Stranding 2 is a thing, and supposedly Overdose is on the cloud. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Overdosing on a cloud? What is that?
I mean, well, I think this game isn't as far off as we think because how accelerated game development is getting with Unreal Engine 5. So
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like,
OD, man. It's OD.
I feel like this is like safe to say this could be like a 2024, late 2024, early 2025 game.
Jesus Christ, Macho. I don't even know we're gonna live through that. Golly, that's a long time, man.
I mean, I'm purely guessing based on like that whole reveal and not even saying like what the project's even called, like not even a concept of what
Right.
it is.
And like,
Yeah.
I think if I had to bet money on it, I think Death Stranding 2 is first, just because like we've seen like recent pictures, not just the mocap stage, but we've also seen in those pictures he has a PS5 dev kit in the background, so like turned on. So I think Death Stranding 2 is first,
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll see.
Could be. Norman Reedus was the one that hinted on it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, so not much else to really add on that. So let's get to the big one, that being Starfield. They closed their show with a
Pentiment.
lengthy demo on Starfield. Todd Howard came out in his usual leather jacket, sweet talking us.
Yeah, man.
What did you guys?
saying he's gonna pay the bill and then he doesn't.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, what did you guys think about Starfield? A lot of people had I don't want to say mixed, but like
There was a mixed opinion on it.
Okay.
Let's be real. No, let's be real. We gotta be. Let's not sugarcoat it. The game. There's been all kind of emotion behind it, 'cause especially and I want your opinion on it. A lot of people expected to see not a Bethesda game, if that makes sense.
Well, I think people, for whatever reason, because they built this game up over in their heads for the past 2 years. I think they were really expecting to see something that's like revolutionary, that would change the industry, something in the
Cyberpunk.
vein, exactly, just like Cyberpunk. And once they actually saw it running, they're just like, oh, okay, it's a Bethesda game.
It's just Skyrim in space. It's just Fallout in space, which from the very get-go, from the moment that they said we're going into space, I was like, oh, cool, Skyrim in space, I'm down. I just imagine, because I enjoy Bethesda games. I'm not a Bethesda, like, disliker. I like Skyrim, I like Fallout. My first Fallout was 4, which is notorious for being the worst one apparently, and I still enjoyed it. I enjoy their games. Now, when I saw this, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. It's a Bethesda game in space. What the hell were we expecting? I wasn't expecting Mass Effect. I wasn't expecting like.
Oh, you're definitely not getting Mass Effect. That's for sure.
You're definitely getting Mass Effect, but like, I don't know. Something interesting that was like stood out. Someone somewhere said that this game reminded them of Andromeda, that it could go that route of disaster. And I'm like, whoa, what? How? But
well, technically, sure, but
sure,
because that studio is infamous for having their community fix their own games,
right? Oh, yeah,
and that's not even undisputed fact. Like, that is a fact.
No, you're right.
I've used that for Fallout 4, man. That game ran like a slideshow for me on PS4 back in 2015.
Dude, even Skyrim, man. Even Skyrim.
Hey, man.
If you try to play Skyrim on the PS3 back then, and I did. Oh god,
I did too. And I thought it was revolutionary with my eyes.
It was a horror story, man. But that was actually the first game I actually used the HDMI for.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine was Black Ops 1.
Yeah, mine was for Skyrim, and I was like, wow, why is everything so small with like the text and everything? But when I played Skyrim on it, man, like it was rough, dog. Oh my.
Yeah, but now on PC, there's like I haven't played it that way, but I want to download like there's like insane mods that make it feel like a revolutionary RPG, like truly beautiful game, and I just want to play it, man, because it's like the meme when they should God rays for the special edition on PlayStation. I'm like, isn't that already on PC? Like, it's crazy, man. But yeah, to start off with something fresh, Soul. Tell us. Walk us through your Starfield journey.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you guys say.
First thing that stuck out to me was the frame rate. There's that. Another thing that stuck out to me was I don't know if you guys noticed during the combat segment when they were, shooting and stuff like that. The people don't react when they get shot in the back. It's like literally nothing is hitting them in the back. The only reaction you see from them is when they actually die and they crumble to the floor, and that's it.
Crumble to the floor.
So yeah, just like a sack of potatoes. But yeah, so there's that. Also the faces in general, definitely Bethesda. Yeah.
Really? I thought they looked better than previous games.
But that's a pretty low bar, to be honest.
It really is, man. Go to the Outer Worlds and look at Starfield, and you'll see.
Well, even the Outer Worlds, it's like I was literally just about to bring that up. Like, the Outer Worlds is kind of funky with their facial animations as well. I was actually just watching like a retrospective like review on Outer Worlds last night, and this guy was like, "Why do all the faces have like the same like facial structure in the Outer Worlds? Like, they all are like literally the same with just like different hair and different color eyes. Like, it's fucking uncanny." And like, now that he pointed it out, I was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of see it too." But yeah, so the faces definitely look a little like the eyes are just like not centered. Like, it's Bethesda doing Bethesda in that regard. Yeah, so like a really like aside from that, like I'm trying to think like what else. Like, I guess the
space,
the big kind of thing was the whole 1,000 planets thing, and it's just like, man, dude, like I'm much in favor of like, can we just have like 10 like super curated planets, like super detailed, and blah blah blah, instead of 1,000, because that like 900 and like 70 of those 1,000 planets are gonna be fucking barren. You only go there to mine resources, and then like the other 30 planets are like they actually have like things for you to do or something like that. At that point, I'm just like, why do we need that much fat like on the bones or whatever, right? Like, I'm much more in favor of just like trimming all of that like unnecessary fluff out, and like just give us like 10 really curated planets. That's all we need, man. That's really all we need. But it kind of reminded me of the whole Dying Light thing where they're like, hey, like our game takes 500 hours to beat. I'm just like, why the fuck do companies think this is like a good marketing beat to put out? Like, that's not exciting. That sounds exhausting. Like, yeah,
Imagine making it.
yeah, for sure.
Imagine getting told, "Hey, man, you need to make this like this," and it's like, God damn, really? Do people want this? Or like, no, but money. You know, I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Really, aside
What
from
do you
that,
think of the space combat? What do you think about that?
it looked fine.
Okay.
I guess like the actual like building your ship looked pretty cool. And then I will so to get into the positives, like you guys know how I feel about Fallout 4 and even Skyrim to a degree. Like those games are like really just like doing the bare minimum in terms of an RPG, and I use the word RPG loosely with those two games. But with Starfield, it really looks like they're kind of going back to their roots in terms of like, hey, your characters have an actual like background, and they actually have like, do you want to be a Ronin or a gangster, or I think like the diplomat is like one of the character kind of like things that you can choose from or backgrounds or whatever. So like that stuff is really really cool. I guess my one worry is, and I forget what game did this recently. It was Mass Effect. That like even with like Mass Effect 1, which is the most RPG out of that trilogy, it's like you have like backstories and backgrounds that you can choose from when you're making Shepherds. Like one of them is like Earthborn. Another one I think is called like Soul Survivor or something like that. But like throughout the entirety of that game, they only fucking mentioned that like 3 times. Like, oh, like Shepard was, he was the last survivor with his team in Earth. He knows how to get things done. They only mentioned your background like 3 times during the entirety of that game. And I think my worry with Starfield is like it's gonna be so bare bones in the fact like, oh, so I hear you're a diplomat. Okay, cool. Anyway, so blah blah blah. Like I feel like it's just gonna be things that they mention in passing. It's not gonna be anything that really truly matters. But regardless, I think the fact that they are kind of going back and kind of getting more in touch with their RPG heavy roots, like this definitely feels like it has more in line with like Oblivion rather than a Skyrim, and to me that's promising for sure. And also, of course, the fact that they're going with a silent protagonist, which really really hurt the immersion in Fallout 4 in my opinion.
Oh, interesting. I see a lot of people really digging that. That's going to be
And a lot of people hated it. So,
but like
yeah,
it's
was
interesting
divisive.
because usually no, but like that's one of the things that I always see a general consensus of people preferring the silent, because it's more immersive. It's an RPG, so it's you. So there's more opportunity for dialogue and you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense, or is it like, do we want what's more RPG? Because here's the thing, RPG, like you mentioned, like a lot of RPGs are now like anything's an RPG. What makes an RPG truly immersive? The fact that you can have detailed descriptions of what you're gonna say, or just a general feel of what you're gonna say, but like through emotion, like Fallout 4. Like, is it better Fallout 4 with voice or more text without voice?
No, because I don't know. It depends on the game. Because like
Yeah.
with Mass Effect, like even with Mass Effect, like I feel like that's me. Like that's my Shepherd. But then like at the same time with Fallout 4, like I don't know. Like it felt like this character just like wasn't me. Like sometimes it's hard to get into the shoes of a blank slate character, of a character that you are building piece by piece when they already like have like an established voice and backstory. Like that character, like they established like, oh, he is a father, he has a wife and a kid, and he sounds like this, and it's just like, okay, well that's hard for me to put myself into that position because I'm none of those things. So like, it's hard to roleplay as that because that's not me.
You're not a father?
Nope.
Interesting. So I think that with give me a sec. I think that with the no dialogue or no voice thing, I think that a game that did it very well and had a lot of voiced lines was one that you played recently, which is Divinity. But do you think that to the detriment of Starfield, which is I think why is very muddied right now? I don't want to think that they're not doing voices because they're focusing too much on crafting the other 900 solar systems or whatever the fuck they're doing. Because to your point of 10 solid planets, I'd even be solid with like 3 solar systems. Just give me 3 stars that I can travel from, like a Mass Effect type deal, but more freedom. Like imagine Mass Effect, but you can actually move through all that space. You know what I mean?
Bringing Mass Effect back into this. What I'm concerned about is like of course they mentioned the 1,000 planets. I'm concerned that the like 900 like 95% of those planets are just gonna be like the Mako shit from Mass Effect 1, where you're literally just like, I don't know, going from like one outpost to the other outpost, and then the rest of it is like literally just fucking barren wasteland, and that's it.
Yeah, and they Top mentioned how there are material planets and there's like resource planets. Like it seems like planets have a clear, distinctive purpose. But again, do I really want to travel to this solar system to just land on this planet to gather some materials? And that's absolutely everything that's going to happen there. There's not going to be a full-fledged side quest there or something. Unless there is. Unless they, they're overly ambitious and somehow it comes through, which I very much doubt it. But hey, all I hope is that if there's going to be 1,000, oh man, make half of those interesting. But I don't know if that's humanly possible in a lot of time, unless they've been working on this game for 40 years. But I don't know.
Macho, how do you feel about the whole like silent protagonist thing? Because I feel like I heard you make a noise about it, but what do you
No,
think
no,
about that?
I turned off my mic just in case so I could let you guys go off. But no, it's I've turned in terms of silent protagonist stuff. Like it really doesn't bother me. Like I could play BioShock and have a smile on my face and play BioShock and if it had the same smile. So it's neither here nor there. I used to play RPGs with silent protagonists, so like to me it's whatever. I feel like that's a non-issue. But what is an issue is this showing for Starfield. I feel like it's one of the things where it's like it was just really overhyped, and I wasn't expecting anything revolutionary. I was expecting a Bethesda game, but man, I was not expecting at least like the same level of quality that I experienced with Fallout 4 and even Fallout 3. It just feels they want to dip their RPG toe in as much different genres of entertainment as possible, whether it be like a wasteland or it be like a fantasy or it'll be in the stars. I think it's interesting overall, just the entire scope of it. Like I think it's really cool that they want to make this deep RPG in space that a lot of people really like, and something I'm interested in too. But this showing for Starfield didn't really like move the needle for me at all. The only thing that actually was really cool was the ship customization.
Yeah.
And the I think they said they're gonna have like 4 big settlement areas, one of them being Atlantis, that you can go to. And I was like, all right, cool. Like we're getting like a really good like fleshed out sci-fi here. That's gonna be like fun to explore.
Whoa, 4. That's huge. That's good. That's like you're like, yeah, detailed, awesome.
Well, yeah, because it goes with the idea of less is more, so to speak. Like it's the same thing with
Right.
Kingdom Hearts 3, where like they had like maybe 10 or 9 worlds, but like all of them were huge in scope and more intricate in level design, and that's what I appreciate more. So like coming from that, especially after like that shooting gallery that we just had for Starfield that looked horrible.
Yes,
Like it looked absolutely
agree.
horrendous.
I don't like the shooting. How it looks.
It was
like it.
it was not impactful at all. Bodies crumbled to the floor. Like it looked really bad. And then I don't know if you guys saw this too when he was actually outside and shooting the like 3 or 4 guys or whatever. And he jumped to the cliff and then they did a jump cut. He was on the cliff.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
didn't
what?
notice that, no.
I was like, what the? What's that? Did he not make the jump? Is that what happened? Like, were they recording the gameplay? I was like, oh, I jumped too early, and they just cut to him being like on the cliff again. Like, that was just so weird.
It's like a PNG when you like crop the photo. You're like, and I made it.
I was just so flabbergasted like by that, man.
My thing
couldn't
is
believe
that
it.
like with these presentations, like you usually want to show your game like in the best light possible. And as we know, Gotham Knights is the most recent example of this. That like,
Yep.
if you don't do that, if you don't show your game in the most like the best possible way, then like people are rightly so going to tear it apart. And I'm just shocked that like that they would show it in this fashion where there is clearly frame rate dips like throughout that thing, especially in the combat sections. I'm just shocked that they would show it in that state. Like it was really rough, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
I
it was bad, and like the thing that saved it, right, was literally like the last like 10, 15 minutes of, or not 15 minutes, but the last portion of the actual presentation where they say, here's the RPG stuff, here's the ship customization, here are the settlements and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, cool. Even the ship fights, like the space fights, the dog fights, that was like, okay, that was serviceable. We've seen stuff that's better, but the thing is, this can still be in the oven. So, or there's still like in the dev oven, so it give more time to flesh out stuff like that. But yeah, Mr. Howard really lost me when this man said you can go anywhere on the planet. Just touch base anywhere.
Yeah.
And for 1,000, we're going to do this for over many planets on the system. There's over 100 systems and over 1,000 planets. I was like, all right, now you're just full of shit.
I can barely travel Earth. You're gonna make me travel 1,000 planets, bro?
Yeah, obviously the one-to-one scale's not gonna be there.
No, that's the thing, man. Like, why not just go bigger with the planet? So why not just like go bigger, man? Like with one planet. Imagine you telling me that and being like, oh, there's like over 8 continents and you can go all over the world. That's more exciting than telling me you can touch base anywhere. Also, you can touch base in over 1,000 planets.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that was just a weird flex that just did not need to be there. And that's where he lost me. I was like, all right, man, like now you're just full of crap and trying to wet your own whistle here. And people are and people are gonna call you out for it.
So stupid.
People are gonna call you out for it because it's rightfully so. Because it's like Todd Howard does it again, man. He's like, we're back to 16 times the detail. Now it's 1,000 planets in your game. Like, I don't believe you, dog. I really like. I would be really impressed if even 20 of those are super engaging, and I can land anywhere and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna find a new alien race on this planet Shisho Mora or something.
What was that?
I don't know, man. But like, regardless, they're gonna make up like a million planet names just to figure out their 1,000 planets. But like, that's the part where it lost me. I was like, all right.
Listen, man. What I hope is that somehow BGS has a hyperbolic time chamber and they're working on a game for like 10 years in there, and then by next year we're gonna get 1,000 fully customized side quest. Because let's assume there's side quests in like at least half of those. That's 500.
No, not even. You're being way too generous.
So let's assume there's at least, to Soul's point, 10 planets. 10 of those planets have solid side quests. That's 10 out of 1,000. No. That's just staggering. The more I'm thinking about it, the more insane. Because like,
that's what I'm saying, man. When he said 1,000 planets, I'm like, you're bananas. Full of it. And the thing is, those 1,000 planets, I guarantee you that at least 300 of them are going to be DLC. So
they're going to be blocked off. You cannot enter here. The Federation does not deem you worthy.
I don't know, man. Like otherwise, it was a pretty good presentation. Like I got like a good scope of what they're going for, and like the entire overwhelming factor of it. Mm-hmm. But like other than that, man, it just seems I doubt this game's even gonna come out next year.
Yeah. Are you anticipating another delay?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna come out in November 2023.
That would be rough. Now, a couple of podcasts ago, I was very optimistic. I was saying how the whole delay thing is a win for Xbox and whatever. Now I'm feeling very worried that, oh no, please don't delay it, because now I'm gonna feel sad. Because I really, come on, man, Starfield. And you know what's crazy about the overhype thing? I'm like, overhype a trailer, by all means. Overhype a gameplay trailer, but don't overhype a title. Because like, you literally, since Starfield was like Starfield, like the name, like, and they mentioned, oh, it's space. it started there. That's insane. I think this game is entering, if not already, cyberpunk levels of hype for a lot of people. And that's some dangerous territory. You don't want to be that hype. You don't want to be there. BGS, be careful. Please show gameplay for all consoles, please. First of all, show it everywhere, because I want to see how that shit runs on PC and Xbox. Because on Xbox it has to run just as smoothly as on PC. I don't know. We'll see, man.
So you wanted to say something though?
Oh no, I'm done with Starfield. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see. I feel like, again, like we mentioned this at the start of the conversation, that like I feel like people, after 2 years of just building and building and building this game into something that it clearly was never going to be, that it's only natural that they came away disappointed when they actually like finally saw it in motion. So
Yep.
I'm not surprised. There's a lot that looks cool. There's a lot that's promising to me as a like a growing hardcore RPG fan. But it's still got that what does Jack Move say? It's still got that stench. It's still got that Bethesda stench on it, all over it. So
that Bethesda stench.
Yeah, surprisingly, and you know what's interesting is the fact that it has such a strong foundation. I think it has a really strong foundation, and it has the capabilities of being incredibly good. But truly, and I agree with Macho, the thing that's going to hold them back is the Thousand Planet thing. It hands down. The shooting, they can fix that. They can make the shooting feel impactful. They can make some animations of the body when they get shot. They can do all that.
Hopefully
they can do that. But my guy, please, the games already struggle to load on other consoles. With 1,000, well, no, they said that they're doing I think Skyrim had this, and Fallout, where it was like procedurally generated, but it wasn't like different all the time. It was just like there's only a point of view that you can see, because it's not like they placed absolutely everything detailed on the world.
That's unreasonable. Like you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. No, of course, obviously. 1,000? Are you crazy? But I think that for certain planets, they should do it. For certain planets, like the Atlantis and shit. But yes, that is it. There's Starfield. Yeah, we'll see in a year.
Yeah. So that is the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. I feel like, I don't know, some people may think that we're being too hard on this show. I don't think so, because I don't remember how Walt felt about it, but I remember like both me and Macho were left the PlayStation Showcase last year kind of disappointed. Like, yeah, like the first party stuff at the end was really, really fucking cool. They opened really strong with KOTOR, that remake, but literally after the KOTOR remake, literally the rest of that show was boring until they kind of came back around to the first party stuff. So like even
I can't remember
last
it, to be honest.
yeah, like even PlayStation's last showcase to us was like a C at best. So like I don't think we're being like too hard with this one either, to be honest. But yeah, that is Xbox Bethesda. Macho,
Yeah.
let's move into it, man.
Let me mute my mic.
Yeah.
The big one, man. And I guess I wanna start off with this question, since you guys are admittedly like more knowledgeable on this subject than I am, but was it always a foregone conclusion that we were getting the Rebirth announcement at this celebration? Was that just something that everyone assumed was going to happen, or was that just like a hope that we had?
There's a lot of clues. There's a lot of clues people were following, and well, first of all, a lot of people thought it was too early. So to your point, yeah, it was mostly based on hope, but a lot of, at least from what I was seeing, a lot of Square Enix people were retweeting this. The fact that they wanted people to co-stream and people to react to it was a big indicator. And the Final Fantasy VII Remake Twitter account did retweet this as well. So, so there's definitely some inklings about part 2.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and take it away, man, because they ended off this. Well, I don't know how you wanna begin this. You want to start at Crisis Core and then work your way to Rebirth, or how do you want to put this together?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll go in sequential order, really. Well, first, me and Walt actually reacted to the showcase for Celebration, so definitely check that out. Because one of my predictions actually came true. Well, and it was the merchandise thing.
Yay.
Yeah, so this actual celebration started out pretty like normal. Like they had like the mobile announcements regarding First Soldier, and I was like, well, they're gonna announce like merchandise. I feel it in my bones, and lo and behold, they did. So, um,
A
in
Buster
case,
Sword, alarm clock. What?
yeah, yeah, in case anybody think of good wedding presents, it's right there. I'm just kidding, but but this showed Ever Crisis, which is basically Walt. You actually during the live stream too. People might have some questions about this as well. But this is a mobile release for Final Fantasy VII, and it's basically just a compilation game where they're remaking the original game on top of like the other compilation games and Advent Children movie, and they're just breaking it up into episodes, essentially for mobile play, just with the turn-based combat and stuff like that. So, a lot of people will say that that's like their true remake, so to speak. But regardless, that's coming out with the beta at the end of this year, and I'm really excited for that. That's something to pay attention to, especially for people that want to play like the original without playing the original, so to speak. Even though I highly recommend you do, but yeah. So Ever Crisis is coming out. That's gonna be really exciting. I'm really hyped to see like the entire Final Fantasy compilation just remade in like that chibi art form, but it's also like really cool and like slick looking. So I'm excited for that. And then the big Kahuna, man. This is one people had inklings of, and they were definitely the rumors were abound on the Twitter sphere, and but I didn't believe any of it. I just couldn't believe it because I didn't think Square Enix cared that much to bring back Crisis Core, the PSP game from 2009, I want to say. But yeah, so the Crisis Core got announced as a remaster. It's gonna get fully 3D models, fully voice acted with the new voice actors, including Brianna White, who was Aerith in Seven Remake. A revamp to the actual combat system as well, because in Crisis Core Original, it was there was a hot bar on the bottom of your screen, and you basically just hold it down, or not hold, but you press R1 or R button on the PSP to cycle through you, like you're attacking your items and magic stuff like that. This looks to be more in the veins of an action RPG where you're just pressing an action button and then you can cycle through like your items and maybe some magic and stuff like that. But it's definitely true to form. Like the lines are the same, the scenarios are definitely the same. The characters obviously are making their comeback as well, and Geo and Genesis and all that stuff. And basically, what Crisis Core is, to answer people's questions about this as well, it's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII. So yes, you can play it without playing Final Fantasy VII. In fact, I even encourage that because this was my gateway to the Final Fantasy series, including Seven. So I played Crisis Core right when it came out, and I played it, and I was wondering like, who are these characters? Like I knew who Cloud and Aerith was because I played Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, but I still like I was completely unaware of the actual events of Seven and what happened and how these characters connected with each other. So everything was really fresh and new to me. Zach was really like my first inclusion to the series, and man, going into that ending and then actually playing Seven afterwards hit so hard that it makes Crisis Core a beloved prequel for Final Fantasy. Like it's absolutely one of the best ones. It may be like super rough to play right now, which is why like a remaster was definitely needed. But the actual prequel and the story itself, and Zack Fair being such a pivotal character in Final Fantasy VII, but being the unsung hero for so long, it's really awesome to see that he's going to get his time to shine now with a lot of people. And the fact that game's going to be everywhere, I mean everywhere, even on Nintendo Switch, is it makes me really happy.
Yeah, it looks. I'm actually like surprised. Like I was watching some footage of Crisis Core, and I was surprised that like it actually looks like I don't know if holds up is like a stretch, but like I was surprised at how well the original still looks today. Um, and then like yeah, just seeing Reunion, and it looks like it just looks like they put in way more effort than I was expecting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks all right.
Well, you're douche. No, but yeah, I agree with you, man. It's that's what I was saying. Like I love that the trailer started off with like starting like with what was it? It was like it's the one who like
Well, doesn't even remember. What a fake fan.
yeah, I can't remember what the beginning of the trailer was, but basically like it just cemented the point of like how crucial he is to the actual story of Final Fantasy VII. And the thing is, in the original game, his story is completely missable. Like it's a scene that you actually have to look out for and find, which is crazy because like he has such a big influence on Cloud and what happens with Sephiroth and everything. But like I said before, Crisis Core is a prequel to Final Fantasy VII that focuses on the generation before Cloud. So we actually are going to see Sephiroth really being normal and actually being a sane person before he learns what he is and wreaks havoc on like on the entire world. We get to see even like his quote unquote older brothers, Angel and Genesis, who were among the first of like the great warriors or the great soldiers of that time, and how kind of there's like this jealous sibling rivalry between Genesis and Sephiroth because Sephiroth is a lot stronger, but he's also sort of the more humble one, while Genesis is a little more he's a little more not annoying, but he's a little more of the weirdo, but also like super jealous of the fact that Sephiroth is so strong and he's also kind of like the younger child of them. And then Angel being sort of like the bigger brother, older father, but also the mentor of Zack, and really cementing the foundations of what it means to be a hero and what does a legacy mean to you and all that kind of stuff. And Zack carries those traits with him throughout the entire game and evolves with those teachings as well with like being completely betrayed by certain people that he grew fond of. So it's a very intricate story. It's heartbreaking. It's awesome, but I'm glad it's getting a remaster. People are going to experience it. It's really cool.
It's all right.
Again, this man.
But yeah, I think that's something that I didn't know like before this trailer came out, and doing like a little bit of research was that yeah, like as you mentioned, that this was a prequel to FF7. So um I say that I probably should play this before I actually do play Intergrade, but I don't think I will.
No.
But nonetheless, I think
Fake
that's
RPG fan.
yeah. Nonetheless, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like like I said before, getting into Crisis Core, it's a completely viable option to play that before Intergrade.
How long is it?
Crisis Core,
Yeah, yeah.
it's around like 20 to 30 hours,
Oh, okay. That's not that bad.
give or take. Yeah, give or take, it's like 20 to 30 hours.
Okay, that's not that
The
bad.
only thing is, I really wonder how they're gonna modernize the gameplay because the fact that this game is made on PSP, it was made for travel, so a lot of it is like sort of mission based, especially with the
So
side content. But
so yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up. So like obviously remake and integrate, or just this new remake trilogy in general, looks like it's almost sort of like a pseudo sequel to like the original game. Do you see anything in Crisis Core that looks like they are like completely changing like story wise, or do you think this one is more one-to-one remake uh as opposed to what the 2020 FF7 remake ultimately was?
yeah, I think it's more of a one-to-one
Okay.
remaster. So it's safe to say that the experience you're getting out of Crisis Core Reunions is same that we got on PSP, like in 2007, 2009, somewhere around those years, that we got. So which is good because I think preserving that story is really important. If they really go into it and change a lot of stuff, I don't know. I feel like it would mess with the lore a little bit, especially what remake and rebirth are trying to do. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna stray too far from what it is. Like I said before, that the lines were like pretty much the same
Gotcha.
from the
Gotcha.
PSP and in the trailer we got. So
Interesting. Um, so yeah, that was Reunion. You want to get into Rebirth?
do I? Now do
Go ahead.
Yeah, do you?
Yes, sir. I gotta say. So I don't know if you saw our reaction, but I got a good cackle out of my fiance when this
Oh
trailer
man.
popped up, man, because I was on my knees.
Oh man.
I
Whoa.
God
I
damn.
dropped to my knees. I was like, they love us. Square Enix loves us. Finally, they brought its Crisis Core Union, and now they're bringing Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, now officially titled Final Fantasy Rebirth. Yeah, so this whole trailer itself, it's not a long trailer, but what they did show us was a sneak peek of what I believe will be the intro of the game, and that's Sephiroth and Cloud. At least, no, I'm not gonna say because I don't want to spoil it. But either way, I think what they're actually showing here and having that red, Walt made fun of me for this one, the red coloring of the word rebirth, having
Yeah?
this like the dour part of the trilogy that they announced at the Final Fantasy remake or the Final Fantasy like project rather is gonna be. So this is absolutely gonna be like the Empire Strikes Back
Why
of the
why is
trilogy.
that? What were you looking at?
Yeah. It's because of the colors, man. They're
The
way
colors?
more.
Oh,
They're way
okay.
more important than Persona.
Okay.
So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, okay. No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
But yeah, so dude, I absolutely went bananas over this freaking trailer, dog, because it's it's gonna look amazing, and this where the story is probably gonna be the most packed one out of the trilogy. And yeah, I mean, overall, like, I don't want to get too much into the lore, into like the actual theorizing stuff like that. But the fact that this game is going to be a winter 2023, early
Yeah.
2024 release, it's pretty nuts, man. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. And
Is it
and
nuts or is
also-
it dope?
It's both.
Okay.
And also, like, cause I feel like this also wasn't like a foregone conclusion. But like the fact that we got confirmation that this is indeed a three-part like trilogy or just a three-part story instead of like, as there were some people who are mad that FF7 remake was even a thing in general, but they were saying that like that original game is so big that they were thinking this thing could be stretched out to like a five-part thing. So the fact that we did get like confirmation that this is going to end with the next game after Rebirth, I thought was pretty interesting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they want to keep it really tight knit, and they want the project to come out. Like they don't want to keep it in the dev oven forever, which I think is really really important to signify, like, or at least to announce to people. And they already even said in along with the trailer, they actually announced that I think it was Tetsuya Nomura himself, who's a producer on the entire thing, and Yoshinori Kitase and all of them basically came out with a statement saying like, hey, like we're moving on really quickly with the development of part 2. Like we're like in the final, not in the final stretch, but like we're just about getting through it as fast as we thought we were going to, and that we're even working on part 3 right now.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, damn.
Yeah. So to me, that's really really awesome, and honestly, that's what I expected at the same time, because of the fact that that they already like laid the groundwork with part 1 with having the character models and all that stuff. I'm sure like the story scenarios are already like thought of like way before remake part 1 was even released. And not remake part 2, but Rebirth rather, was actually announced to be in full development October of 2019. So the fact that this game is releasing at the end of 2023 or even early 2024 makes sense, especially since it might be the biggest one. It might have just the most continuity. Where I fully expect us to get our full party in this Rebirth, including Sid, including Vincent, and everyone else. Like I really think that this one's going to be like the meatiest one, but also the most dour one, where we're actually going to learn the Sephiroth's intentions that he set for in remake. So it's going to be really exciting to see like what they really have up their sleeve and how Zack fits in all this. Again, because I won't spoil it, but like the term remake is it's a literal translation and a metaphorical translation. They're literally remaking the game of Final Fantasy VII. Even I've seen some people say before that they're really worried that Rebirth is going to stray way too far from the original, but the producer Katase already said before, like, no, you're going to experience the beats of Final Fantasy VII. Like, that's already a given. That's already, like, that's in our mindset. Whatever else that we add to it, it's going to be stuff that's original, but it's not going to stray too far from the OG game, which is reassuring.
Yeah.
But yeah, more or less, I really expect like all those narrative beats to be there. This one's gonna be the biggest one, I think, and then we have part 3 coming out maybe like 2026 or something. But regardless, yeah, I'm super excited, man. The fact that we even got like an announcement for that it's coming out way sooner than I expected, and yeah, man, it's gonna be good.
And again, I think it just goes to show, like sure, like Square has had some misfires recently, but like, goddamn, with Kingdom Hearts 4, FF16, and now Rebirth as well, yeah, it feels like they're kind of like they're in their bag right now. And same thing with Capcom,
For
which
sure.
is good to see.
Yeah, they have Star Ocean coming out, and then the Dialfield Chronicles, and like they have Valkyrie Elysium, I think it's called.
Yeah,
That was announced. So like, yeah, they absolutely have a lot in the pipeline, and it's great to be a Square Enix fan, man. That's all I gotta say. It's great to be a Square Enix and a Final Fantasy fan. I'm really happy that they're finally get their head on straight most of the time. But
yeah.
at least with the stuff that like I care about the most, like
Right.
it seems like they're putting so much stock into, and yeah, I'm really excited for it. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Walt, you have anything to add?
I just think FF is like overrated, man. I don't know. It's like,
Weren't you like early in the podcast being like, I hate toxic people. Why do you so toxic? And then this man coming out with every comment so far, like, yeah, it's alright.
Listen, man. Final Fantasy. If Macho had the comment for Call of Duty being the premium shooter, I think Final Fantasy is like the premium JRPG experience, and I think that the remake and everything going forward will be just the definitive way to experience one of the greatest, franchises of all time. And especially with one of the most beloved being 7. I hope that we see other games in the future getting this type of love. I know 6, a lot of people want to see 6 in the same vein. They want to see a remake of 6. I'm excited, man. It looks great. And I get to play the prequel or whatever. I never played them. I never played Crisis Core or River Crisis or whatever. I never played those games. And I think there's other games that I don't know if they're included. Something Cerberus. There was like other, like an anthology kind of deal back then with the vampire dude. What's his name? Vincent. Yeah, this is the one with the red. Mm-hmm. Red get up. Okay, because
yeah,
we already
the red
got
cape
Yuffie.
and all. Yeah, the red cape and all that. Yeah.
Because we already like. No one's like Yuffie and Intergrade. There's a hint, no spoilers, in the remake of another party member. But I don't know anything if they touch on it more. That little fella. But yeah, man, it looks interesting. It looks good, and it's gonna be next year. It's pretty soon. Next year already, looking pretty good with Resident Evil remake and this. Like so far, Resident Evil 4 remake and that are like the biggest ones that I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I will say too, Final 7 Rebirth is PS5 only, which makes sense. Yeah, I mean it's good for Sony, honestly, and good for just PlayStation in general. Cause the fact that that remake was made with the PS4 in mind. And the fact that Square Enix said before that they really want to focus on finishing this stuff, so that's why I want to release it on one platform, and then what happens afterwards. So
it definitely fills out their 2023 because right now all that we know about is Spider-Man 2 for next year. So we have that FF16 and Rebirth. So yeah,
is 4 remake exclusive?
No.
Okay.
So it definitely feels like we're getting a little bit of 2023 kind of like filled out, which is nice.
yeah.
We still don't have a date for Wolverine, right?
Oh no, I expect that after Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for the podcast, man. We got through a lot. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start with some outros. Before we do, I want to remind everyone to go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. We would greatly appreciate that. Also, check out some of the content that these boys put out in the last week.
Yeah,
Because they're
watch me
liking
fall
that
to my
content as well.
knees in the
Oh man.
reaction.
Jesus Christ.
Macho, why don't you start off with the outros, man, so we can distract you from whatever you were saying.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so this weekend's absolutely the Quarry and TMNT, and celebrating Father's Day as well. We're gonna go more than likely visit some family unless plans change, but yeah, gonna go visit some family and play some games this week. I'm really excited just to chill for the rest of the day and play through some games with my girls. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, also, real quick, man, I forgot to give a bit of impressions on PS Plus. Because I actually subscribed to it, and it's what you guys see on the screen right now. I ended up upgrading without even really. I wasn't gonna upgrade as soon as I thought I did, but the thing is, there's so many classics that I wanted to play that they put out onto the service that it just buying the games wouldn't make sense, especially when upgrading was a lot cheaper. So I decided to upgrade. And again, what you guys see on the screen now is Toy Story 2. It's an oldie but a goodie. I played this one a ton when I was younger. Never beat it, so now I can finally beat it the first time. But I love like the rewind features. Everything's really slick and easy to access. It's really easy to save, really easy to rewind. It plays great, and the sound is here or there because it's like a PS1 game. But this is really the only PS Plus classic like I downloaded. But I did, or not download, but I actually played. I downloaded Ape Escape. I have Resident Evil Director's Cut on there. I have Tekken 2 on there. So I'm looking forward to kind of play through those and maybe stream them for people. So we'll have like at least I'm talking with Walt too, and Jay. Obviously, you can chime in too if you want to do this as well. Where we could do like a Throwback Thursday stream or something like that, where we boot up like a classic game or something and just play through it. So I'm thinking about doing that for the channel here.
Nice.
And playing through a couple of classic games. So that'll be really fun. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, overall PS Plus is really good. A lot of great games on there. Great. It's one of the best deals in gaming.
Oh no, are we gonna start saying that too?
I'm just saying, man.
Is it on PS Plus? Is it on PS Plus?
Is it on PS Plus? But yeah, no. I mean, real talk. There's a couple games on here that I've had on the back burner that I would like to get, but I never really delved into it. So I downloaded Bloodstained. I got World of Final Fantasy. I got Knights of Azure 1 and 2. So there's definitely a lot there for people that are just getting a PS5 or want to get a PS5. Like, it's pretty much a no-brainer to subscribe to the service and play through like Spider-Man or Returnal and like all the stuff they have on there. Like, it's really, really good. So
Or PS4.
yeah, or PS4 too. The one thing I will say about the classics though, I feel like there's PlayStation Plus Essential, then Extra, then Premium, or something like that.
Yeah.
But Extra is probably the one that a lot of like early or like late PS5 adopters will want to get because that's the more recent games. The classic catalog is not huge by any means, but it's good for people that just like me, like want to delve into that classic stuff. But I will say, not every classic game is a la carte, meaning that you can buy it individually. And I noticed that with Tekken 2 and Resident Evil Director's Cut, you actually had to subscribe to play those games.
Wah, wah.
So I'm not sure if that was like a day one bug or where the case may be. I think it might have been a bug because Tekken 2 was actually priced at $10,000.
I was gonna say Tekken 2.
Tekken 2 was priced at $10,000, and even like the Tekken creator Harada, like Richu is like, what? So yeah,
Great game.
Yeah. So just a forward, I'm not sure if every classic game is like available to buy right from the get go, but regardless, it is there, and I'm happy with the service so far, and we'll see what else comes to it as the days go by. So. But yeah, that's all I got. Sorry for the super long outro, but I forgot to mention that.
No,
Don't apologize. There's no apologies in this podcast. Only me, which now I wanna say. This is the outro. This is the outro, right? No, guys, I acted out a little bit. I gave a little light to things that shouldn't be. That's the end of that. No more of that. Walter is a changed man. I apologize for the tangent. For the brattiness, that's not me. If you meet me in person, I'm actually much worse. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually better. Ask Macho. This is punk.
Yeah, he's a bit of an asshole, but it's okay.
But motherfucker.
I'm just kidding, man.
But yeah, man. No. Seriously, like I want to say, like, I'm glad that we can celebrate gaming every Saturday. I'm gonna only focus on being productive here and not being a complete brat. What am I gonna be doing? I'm gonna be playing games. Gonna be organizing my manga. I got Silent Voice here, Berserk, some Deadman Wonderland to get through. I got a lot of stuff to reorganize.
Are you gonna be streaming again?
I will be either today or tomorrow, depending on how chores go. I'll be either doing more of the demos on Steam or or playing Dead Space 2, going through that one. So you can catch me at Walter_Orlando at twitch.com. Fun fact, I downloaded an app that allows me to store all of my inventory, aka my games, my movies, my manga. So I'm gonna be scanning barcodes all afternoon to take stock, as I once bought a manga twice, and I don't want to do that again. I forgot I had it, because I have. If you look at my inventory, I have, for instance, Berserk. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I have 11, 15, 17, and then I have 24, 30. So I need to keep track of it. I'll be playing more Switch. That's my console of the week. I've been playing a lot of Switch. I'm getting more through Horizon on the side. We still are hoping to do an episode center on Horizon, talk about it more. We're gonna try and do more videos on just specific games. Other thing that I will be doing is watching more TV. I didn't mention it, but I've just been watching more Boys. Great episode yesterday. If you're not watching The Boys, you should definitely watch it. Yesterday shows that The Boys is not all about gore. There was a lot of heartfelt moments, a lot of great drama. So go give that a shot. And not much else. Father's Day tomorrow. We'll see what I do. Hopefully, no, I shouldn't do that. I was gonna say hopefully eat Mexican food, but I shouldn't do that considering what's happening to me today. So, what about you, Sol? What do you have planned, and are you awake today?
Yeah. Not too much, honestly. Probably just continue to chip away at Arkham Knight, and I don't know what else I'm playing besides that. Maybe I'll jump into Prey, since I don't want to play Outer Worlds anymore.
Yeah, Prey is actually really good, Sol. You should play it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for me. That's it for the DSS crew. And yeah, we will catch you guys next week with another episode. Peace out.
Buenas tardes.